15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Dane Gonzalez looking to send Washington into the divisional round. Snap good, hold down, kick on its way. It is good! The Cardiac Commanders are the clutch Commanders! They do it again! We'll see you in Detroit!
Bram Weinstein all over at Commanders Radio Network. First time since 2006 that the Commanders get a playoff win. And Perloff, it was the most exciting game of the weekend by about a mile.
Yeah, only exciting game. Really the only close game.
I know. And so we had to wait and wait and wait. We'll see what happens tonight between the Rams and the Vikings. But it was a long time coming. Jaden Daniels' performance was fantastic. Even though the Bucs defense is not bad, Perloff, to be a rookie quarterback, to go on the road as an underdog and win this game. Brand new Commanders. I know you're bummed because you wanted to play the Commanders.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Eagles, yeah.
I think everybody wanted to get the winner of this game because the other side of the NFC brackets are much tougher. But at least the Eagles will get the winner of the Vikings-Rams game tonight. So the Vikings, an indoor team, has to come to Link, or the Rams, a West Coast team, has to come to Link. But the Commanders, here's the question, like, was it going to be a one-off win for either team? And I guess that doesn't really matter. It's exciting. It just kind of landed the right way for the Commanders. I'm not sure they beat anybody else in the NFC.
Okay, so here's the thing. It's going to be tough. You got to go to Detroit. You got to be the best team in the NFL by a lot of people think, and that's going to be hard. However, here's why I give the Commanders a chance here, and it's going to be it's a gigantic spread already. What was it, 8.5?
8.5, yeah.
It's a big spread, but you got a couple things. Commanders, absolutely no pressure whatsoever. Meanwhile, Lions playing in front of their home crowd with Super Bowl expectations, so that can... You score on the opening drive, all of a sudden, maybe the home crowd starts getting a little tight, start waiting for the bad things to happen. 2, do you see what the Commanders do on fourth downs? They have not met a fourth down that they don't love. They will go for it, Perloff, on every fourth down. Who does that remind you of?
Lions.
Yeah, exactly. So we might have like a fourth down off or something like that and then you never know. Because both teams are very comfortable operating that way. And if you let the Commanders hang around, they've won so many of these close games, whereas the Lions, it's kind of a mixed bag when they get into a tight game. So I'm not totally ruling out the fact that the Commanders are at least going to make this a game. I don't think it's going to be a walkover. They showed a lot yesterday. It's an exciting football team, and they play with no conscience.
Yeah, I mean, but again, point to like a big win on their schedule. A good team they beat.
Yesterday.
Well, I mean, the Bucs a good team.
Well,
they're okay.
The Bucs had some self-inflicted wounds here yesterday, where you're botching handoffs, you're botching center quarterback exchanges, stuff like that. You're not going to win that way, especially when that happens in the red zone. They're just like gifting the Commanders a touchdown late.
I mean, I think you're a very average team if you're the Bucs. So it felt like, I don't know, maybe I'm underestimating the game, and people welcome to call, but it felt like two teams are getting prepared for the slaughter. Maybe the Bucs, especially going to Detroit, like that, it's going to be really hard. I don't see this playing out the way you do. I think it's going to be kind of Detroit's going to control this game. Because Commanders, if you watch the end of their season, like remember the Atlanta's a bad team, and they let them hang around. They did beat the Eagles, but that was because Kenny Pickett was in the game. I just think the Commanders kind of got a little lucky with their schedule. I just don't think they're a well-rounded team yet. That being said, Jaden Daniels' future is off the charts. I just don't think they're there yet.
Yeah, I mean, they've had so many close wins this year. Maybe we got to give them a little bit more respect. I don't think the Falcons were a terrible team. A lot of people had picked them to win the division. They were playing for the division down to the last game of the season. I don't know. At least I was impressed. They were the only road dog to come out with a win in the entire wild card weekend. So in some ways, I just appreciate the Commanders for finally giving us a good football game, because the rest of it was just, I mean, where do you start? You had disappointment from the Chargers, disappointment from the Steelers. So that's your Saturday night where you had teams that weren't even close or were getting garbage time and all of that. We can talk about Justin Herbert. We'll talk about the Steelers and where do they go from here. Then you have Denver looked over a match yesterday when Buffalo finally pulled away in the third quarter. Then you had your Eagles took forever to really put the dagger into the Packers. The Packers were losing guys left and right. They had no healthy receivers by the end of the game.
They had no healthy anybody.
No healthy anybody. Good point. Offensive linemen get hurt on the first snap of the offense, fumbles, all that stuff. And so last night, at least, we got something entertaining.
Yeah, that last night was a great game. Again, like the whole playoff picture, like I walked away from this wild card weekend and said, God, that was terrible. We were obviously the big joke on social media was the committee screwed up with the wild card matchups. Like the actual terrible 12-team playoff was almost as college football was almost as entertaining as this. I don't know if it's something structural, it just landed this way. But last year's wild card was out of control too. Like you had mostly blowouts. It doesn't. This round is definitely. Not doing well, and they're going to add another game, which is going to make it even worse down the road. So the wild card round is a tough little dilemma for the NFL because they're probably charging the Amazon and those people $1 billion to air this, and the games were terrible. Like the Ravens came out and said, you know what, this offense in a million years we're going against is not going to score more than 20 points, and the Bills were like killing the clock from the first drive on. They're like, all right, we already have this one. I thought Josh Allen was just going to kneel for a big part of the game because the Broncos were so non-threatening.
It's 10-7, just sit on that lead.
10-7, and they had outpossessed them like 21-9.
You know, let's pause for a second on the Steelers part of this because in some ways it was the most predictable and the least predictable outcome of the weekend. The fact they just got blown out. Because
how is it least predictable?
Least predictable because Mike Tomlin's record against Lamar Jackson. Because did you know? And I didn't know this until I read about it in The Athletic, so I appreciate that. Do you know how much money the Steelers have invested into their defense? How much money they're paying these guys, let alone first-round picks that they've taken a defense, that they spent a first-round pick on a defensive player in 9 out of the last 10 seasons, okay? They have $137 million invested into the defense.
Is that a lot?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's way more than the offense. And they're supposed to be a defensive team that's supposed to stop the run and run the football. They got ran over for 300 yards, and they could muster of less than 50 yards on the ground. Like everything you built your team for, this is why I thought it was actually quite surprising. Everything you built your team for just got shoved down your throat.
Wait.
You can't run the ball. You couldn't stop the run. And I thought, this big spread, I'm like, man, you underestimate the Steelers as underdogs. It's a division foe. And then it was 21-0 at the blink of an eye. And that Steelers offense is so bad. A 21-0 might as well be 50-0.
Well, they could have been good, but they have a horrible play caller. Like they could have. Once they got down, they started picking apart the Ravens secondary easily because the Ravens secondary is not good. But Arthur Smith is just the worst. So like they're down 21-0 and calling 3 run plays in a row. They have no idea. But I don't agree with them. Like the Steelers are not built to stop the run. They are built to rush the passer. I mean, you got your superpower is T.J. Watt causing strip sack fumbles and Alex Highsmith coming from the other end. And they definitely once they're down, T.J. Watt has obviously been hurt. Like I mean, he hasn't done anything in about a month and a half. But like you couldn't get T.J. Watt coming after your quarterback. What are you supposed to do? Like the Ravens are the perfect team, ironically, after having so much trouble. But this time they couldn't contain Lamar at all. The only way that they were going to win that game is Lamar got hurt, which almost happened about 3 or 4 runs.
Yeah.
But once Lamar is totally sold out to run the ball on every play, what do you have? Like there was a series we had 3 runs in a row.
I just couldn't believe it was such a smart game plan too, because we don't really see Lamar run like that anymore. Obviously, his rushing totals for the year will always be bigger than normal or any other quarterback really, but he doesn't really run the ball a lot. And
Wait,
this if you ever bet Lamar Jackson rushing props, it's really uneven. And I was surprised. He ran 8 times in the first half? That's usually they start running Lamar when you absolutely need it. And he's been way more disciplined about that. Not in this game. Not in this game. They came out running the ball. Anyway, so I thought it was surprising for the Steelers, and I guess not surprising at all. And I really tried to put some brain power to this over the weekend. Like, all right, let's fix the Steelers. we got Steeler fans all over this country. How are they going to find a quarterback? And I couldn't come up with anything. I really thought about it. And the best I could come up with was stick with Justin Fields and hope you can develop him as a dual threat, I guess, quarterback pro. I got nothing else. You're going to put Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins?
Yes.
They're going to be running for their lives. The offensive line's not good enough right now, and you could tell that because they can't run the ball like they want to.
Well, that's because there's no threat of any, like, you don't have to play your safeties back. You could just, there's no threat of any deep balls. When Pickens was actually playing well earlier in the year, like, there was a little something to help the run game. Now there's nothing. Like, why, basically, Pickens had one-on-one anytime he wanted because they knew Arthur Smith was going to run it into the box and just give up possession after possession. I think they need a passing. They need to recreate the Big Ben offense. They need a threat of some kind passing the ball. I mean, they could go to 500. They could be 9-8 or 10-7 with Justin Fields, but I think they get to the next level. And I'd like a young Aaron Rodgers would be nice. Can you give me that?
Everyone would like a time machine for hell. The Jets want a time machine for young Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers doesn't do anyone any good. And here's the thing: if you had Kirk Cousins, who had all the weapons in the world in Atlanta this year, they have triple the amount of weapons that Pittsburgh has. They couldn't win that crap division. So I don't think Kirk Cousins helps them. Aaron Rodgers, I don't even think Steeler fans want any part of Aaron Rodgers. Maybe they're so desperate they will, but I don't think he jives with that city at all. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, but like jive with the city, like who cares about that? Like you need an X and an O's answer here. I mean, Cousins and Aaron Rodgers both seem like really old, fragile quarterbacks coming off an Achilles, so I don't think like they're tough. But I mean, jive with the city, like what is a city defined by a running defense team that's gotten you to 9-8 and 10-7 about 6 years in a row? Aren't they tired of that? Well, like being defined by being tough? Like I know a lot of Steelers fans and they're all done, and you know it too. Like they don't want this format anymore.
Well, for the most part, though, their ire is really at Mike Tomlin, and Tomlin though. You're asking, well, they can't stop the run, and they're built. They're trying to build to stop the run and rush the passer and run the ball, but they don't do that. So is that Mike Tomlin just being so stubborn and that's how they want to win games? Or is he just cooking with the ingredients that have been picked out for this team, right, by the front office? No. I think he has a lot of power here.
No. But the fault is not the ingredients. The fault is the coaching. Don't you think? Or do you think it's the players?
Well, I think it's probably the philosophy, right?
Right.
If you want to be a stop the run the ball team, then what do you need? You need a much better offensive line. If you're going to try to lean on teams and run on teams, you've got to be better in the offensive line.
I mean,
that's
they've
number
tried.
one. And they tried. That's true.
Yeah, they've taken what? They've taken 2 tackles in the last 3 drafts.
And they've signed guys. I totally understand it. They have taken forever to really address the wide receiver situation.
Well, because they used to be able to get these bargain guys. That was their thing. Antonio Brown, Santonio Holmes, Martavis Bryant, they used to be able to find guys. And actually, I don't know. Arthur Smith is your offensive coordinator. You could have any wide receivers. Is it going to matter? He's not throwing the ball to them.
Well, and then that's Mike Tomlin's fault, right? Because
yes, I think you're right. And
imagine that he's hiring the coaches. He's got to have enough power for that.
I mean, he blew it last year with Matt Canada.
2 years with Matt.
2 years with
a year and a half.
2 years with Matt Canada, and we should have been more critical when they hired Arthur Smith, who is the Tennessee Titans of yesteryear. Like he does not want to throw the football. So here's a question: is Arthur Smith coming back? Probably. He got head coaching interviews, for God's sake. Did he interview with EJ's Jets?
I mean, they've been trying to get Arthur Smith like for over a year. Remember?
We love Nepo babies.
But he's Nepo baby for what? FedEx?
Yeah.
It's not even the same. It's not even football.
Does that not sound like the Jets, though?
It's just shipping. That doesn't qualify you for anything. Listen, you already got the report that Mike Tomlin is safe. And I think this is where you get caught, right? You're never going to be bad enough to be getting a top pick for a quarterback, but you're not going to be good enough to actually compete for a Super Bowl. And Mike Tomlin gets praised because of this really gaudy record of always being above 500. But I think fans are done. I just don't know you've seen the names that have been circulating during this hiring cycle. Okay, Vrabel gets hired by the Patriots yesterday. Who is the guy that's blowing you away in this hiring cycle that you think is going to come in and be that much better than Mike Tomlin, probably?
Ben Johnson.
Okay, but that's ship sailed probably. I don't think you're going to be able to get a shot at him.
Why?
Because you are keeping Tomlin.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You're talking about if
Yeah,
they
like
had
you could have
fired
had Jim Harbaugh, but they didn't, they're not making a move like that. I think it's too late. The guy's already had 5 interviews.
Well, I don't think if they fired Tomlin today, they could definitely get in the Ben Johnson mix. Why not? Ben Johnson hasn't made any decisions at all. He's linked a bunch of teams.
He is, but there's already teams that he's interviewed with that have way more sure things at quarterback than the Steelers do. I'm talking the Jags. I'm talking about the Bears. Those are just 2.
Yeah, but he's also interested in the
QB
Raiders, so they don't have anybody.
Well, is he interested in the Raiders, or he did? The report was he took the interview for Tom Brady.
I read the report that he's interested in the Raiders, but you don't think the Steelers could be attractive to Ben Johnson? You're probably right, but I still think just the lore of the franchise would at least get your eyebrow raised.
So the one good thing you have going for you that you're the Steelers, ironically, is that you hire somebody, they think they have a job for 18 years.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
It's
too.
the job security.
Yeah.
I mean, in this economy, that's incredible.
Well, you do have some talent. You have Defensive Player of the Year, TJ Watt. You've drafted a lot of young offensive linemen. You need receivers and you need a quarterback. That seems like a big deal. But you're Ben Johnson, you have this creative run game. That's, to me, the defining characteristic of the Lions. It's not their pass game. It's the fact that you hit, they could recreate some of that with the Thunder and Lightning, with Jalen Warren and Najee Harris. I think of all that, we're talking about the Raiders who haven't won anything in 25 years. You're telling me that Pittsburgh Steelers couldn't get an interview with a top coach? I think that helmet means a lot to people.
855-212-4227. All right, we get it started with the wild card weekend. So we got one great game last night. That was a fun one. Commanders-Bucs. Commanders move on. I got a trivia question for you guys off of that game. Manny's excited. Manny popped out.
I'm going to get it wrong anyway, but I'm excited.
Not with that attitude.
Well, believe me.
It's okay, actually. I'll give you a hint on this trivia question.
Post-2000?
You were alive for most of it.
All right.
I got a trivia question off of last night's game. And we get it going with the Steelers. What are they going to do here? It's an unenviable position to be in. You keep making the playoffs, you keep losing. It's been 8 years since you won a playoff game. 8 years. The Pittsburgh Steelers, for goodness sake. 8 years. Would you rather not make the playoffs for 8 years or make the playoffs for 8 years and lose?
Well, I'll definitely make the playoffs for 8 years and lose.
I don't know. You never get a chance to reset your program.
Ask those Jets and Giants fans over there on the other side of the glass how that
a lot
feels.
more than 8
Can't
years
imagine
for the
making
Jets.
the playoffs 8 years in a row.
Well, they haven't made the playoffs.
Not in a row.
They haven't made the playoffs 8 years in a row, but they've been winning
Above 500.
500 or above forever. I think there's a special kind of frustration. I think you're hinting at this to being 9-8 and 10-7 every year.
Yeah, it's your guy Andy Dalton. Andy understood what this was
Andy
like.
was 12-4 one year, but they weren't even close. I mean, the Steelers are. Yeah, they feel like they should be better. That's the thing about the Steelers. They feel like at a certain point they should break through and be elite, but it's hard without a quarterback. I mean, I know that's a cliche, but look around the NFL. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have anything. So that they drafted Kenny Pickett. The plan was in place. He's small hands.
Is that what it was? 855-212-4227. Okay, Steelers, got any ideas? We're also asking you if you're giving the Commanders a fighting shot against Detroit. That will be one of the divisional round matchups. The Eagles await the winner of the Rams and the Vikings tonight. We'll get to the AFC side of this as well. So much to do. We got college football to react to from Friday night, the big Ohio State win over Texas. Sark, what are you doing? Play calls. We got all of it. It's M&P on a Monday. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. Wild card round, massive dud. Terrible, terrible product by the NFL. But everyone's so excited for the divisional round, man. Everyone, as soon as the two AFC games ended, everyone's like, "All right, bring on Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson." It feels like a mini Super Bowl in the divisional round. The divisional round is great. Wild card is just hot garbage. But there's actually a big spread. The Lions are huge favorites over Washington, and I get that. I don't know. Washington's defense, I just don't think they can contain Detroit's multifaceted attack. Although Jaden Daniels, what they did last night was they just try and control the ball, keep Detroit off the field. I think that's going to be really hard. I feel like that's a one game. And listen, I'm getting a lot of flack for being anti-Commanders. That's a one game next week that I don't see as much of a contest.
Well, listen, Tampa, it's all about long drives, possessing the ball, eating a lot of clock. They said they'd like to be over 30 minutes time of possession. The Lions could do that. They also can just quick strike you too. I don't know. I just what I see in the Commanders and why I think they could keep it close is because I do see some similarities between the Lions and the Commanders. The Commanders aren't as good as the Lions. Don't get me wrong, but the going for it on fourth down, being super aggressive.
That's all I got. What else?
That's basically what I got.
Well, the Commanders are a running quarterback team. They're defined by Jaden Daniels' legs.
That is not the
That's
Lions.
their only superpower. And I don't know really. I have to look at it. I'm not sure the Lions have faced a lot of that. The problem with the Commanders is they can't run the ball via the running back. That has been a massive problem. That's why I wanted them to come to the Eagles, because the Eagles could have just focused on Jaden Daniels' legs. I think he would have some passing. Like he's definitely he's shredding defenses, but I think if Brian Robinson's going to average 2 yards a carry against Detroit, that's not gonna work, Maggie.
855-212-4227. I have a trivia question off of this game. We'll get to that in a moment. Robert is in Maryland. Doesn't see these things the way that Perloff does. He gives the Commanders a chance. Robert, what are you thinking about?
Yeah, I do think Washington has a shot against Detroit. They've won 5 in a row, and it's been 20 years since they've been in the playoffs. Detroit's defense, they're all injured. Washington's going to move the ball on Detroit. I got a feeling they're going to, like I was watching a game last night, I said watch the kicker hit the goalpost.
It's not the playoffs, Robert, unless there's a doink in the divisional round. We had 2, actually, because at the end of the first half, the Denver Broncos kicker doinked one off.
Yeah.
They could not didn't get any good luck there. Robert brings up a good point, though. You do have Lions defense extremely hurt, definitely compromised here. Now, they had a week to try to get a little healthier, but some of their guys have just been gone for the season. There's no coming back for the Aleem McNeils and stuff like that.
And unless they get to the Super Bowl and Aiden Hutchinson comes back, this is interesting. This is going to be the round of spies. So you got to spy Daniels, right? Especially on third down. I think Detroit, they have some tough, middle linebacker types. I don't know, Jack Campbell is going to stay in that little mid-range and try and hit Daniels. If you do that, then I think you're fine. I think, and obviously the Ravens-Bills game all comes down to the spy strategy, right?
Totally.
That is, whoever that linebacker is on either team, the Bills, I think, are a little less reliant on Josh's legs. If the Ravens are doing that run pass option where you don't know if it's Lamar, you don't know if it's Derek, but if Lamar does drop back, you better be watching him because he's going to try and run like crazy on your Bills.
Do we know if Zay Flowers is going to be in this game?
I think he is because of the fact that people thought he might play in last week. Obviously they didn't need him, but I do think they need him. That passing attack was a little more marginal without him because what was the leading receiver? Rashad Bateman with one or two catches.
Yeah, but big ones and a touchdown catch too, right? Jeff's in Tucson. Jeff, good morning.
Morning, Maggie. Morning, Perloff.
Morning.
How you guys doing this morning?
Good. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about Ohio State, Jeff.
So, I call in a lot because I'm a big OSU grad. So we're looking at last week, I told you that they couldn't contain our wide receivers. Smith, 1 catch for 3 yards. Abuka went off. Tate drops a touchdown. We go and get the touchdown anyway. But one of the things I look at is Notre Dame can't contain that. Notre Dame's defense cannot contain the wide receivers. And you know what? Who can contain our running backs? Our defense is going to stand up against that run that Notre Dame has. Mm. And Maggie, I got one trade for you.
Okay.
We're going to trade. The Browns are going to trade their number 2 to the Raiders for their number 6.
Okay.
And we're going to look at the Raiders trying to get the coach from Pittsburgh in a trade.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Then
we look at maybe we look at, I don't know, what's he worth? He's not worth a first round or maybe a second round pick.
Well, usually these guys do go for first-round picks.
Yeah,
Jeff.
like Sean Payton was a
went for a
first-round pick.
first and a second. Bill Belichick went for a first.
Yeah.
Way back in the day.
Gruden was a first, I think, too.
Yeah, Gruden was the first. That's right.
So, Jeff, here's the only thing about that. If you are the Raiders, though, and you've got to trade up to get that second pick with Cleveland, that's a lot of your draft capital that you got to give up to get up to number 2, no?
I don't know. Maybe.
Next year's
Maybe
second?
Maybe not. Yeah, second.
You're going to trade the second overall pick for Mike Tomlin? That seems rich.
Well,
you need a quarterback. You have to get one.
I'm not
Well,
sure. Steelers are not.
grab Cam?
There's
They
a
want
rivalry
Cam
here.
Ward?
They're not going to trade Tomlin for a second-round pick to the Raiders.
No, the guy won't.
Yeah,
For
because of
an
the history.
But, Jeff, it's inspired, and thank you for the phone call, and we'll dive into Ohio State and Notre Dame in just a little bit. It's inspired because Jeff's not wrong. The Raiders would kill for Mike Tomlin. I mean, there's a lot of teams, I think, that would kill for Mike Tomlin, just not the Steelers right now.
I don't
the
know.
Steeler fans, actually.
I do think there are a lot of owners who want an offensive coach and are wondering about all these defensive coaches. So I think Tomlin, like you saw, he's definitely old school. By the way, who can stop Ohio State? I'm sorry to have to answer this immediately. There's one man, and his name is Chip Kelly, because Ohio State's offense was terrible.
Their own offense.
They scored 28 points, one on a broken play and one on defense. They scored 14 points against Texas offensively, basically. There's who's going to stop all those weapons? Chip Kelly. He is not going to use them at all. He's just going to run into the line again and again. They drive me nuts. Anyway,
Yeah,
I
well,
do
you
like.
were
I'm
wondering,
sorry.
we asked, can this offense put together 3 great games in a row?
No,
And the answer was no, they cannot.
but
They won the game. They covered. I mean, all that because Jack Sawyer came up with this amazing defensive play, and I don't know what Sark was thinking at the goal line.
yeah, but that last play. Anyway, we'll get into Sark later.
Yeah.
One thing about that trade, it's in spirit. It's really good. Like
Yes, that's
a
what I'm
team
saying.
like the in spirit. But the reality is like the Raiders, the Al Davis Raiders, are not going to do a trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like Art Rooney II remembers like the rivalry. That would never ever happen. I don't think they're trading Tomlin for anyone. I'll bet you teams could call with a first-round pick, and just the way the Steelers are, I don't think they would give him up.
Apparently, one team already did call, according to Tom Pelissero. We don't know who it is. We don't know what they offered.
Yeah.
But one team did call. They were told no.
I'm starting to not buy all these coaching reports. Like Tom Pelissero, he's a very good reporter, but how many agents are out there saying these things about coaches?
Well, I would like to think, and I know sometimes it doesn't work like this. If you get a piece of information like that, you've got to get a second source.
Well,
Somebody else has to confirm that. It can't just be Jimmy Sexton says it, so it happened.
What is a call about Mike Tomlin? Does that mean, hey, we're going to trade a first-round pick for him? Or does that mean, hey, are you guys firing to Mike Tomlin? Like, guys talk all the time. You and I talk all the time. We have wild trades. We just talked about trading giving Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers. That doesn't mean there's a hot rumor the Steelers looking at Aaron Rodgers.
I know, but
This all
is
lives.
one small detail about those people and us.
Well, no, but they all live in the gray area too. Like there's talks and then there's talks, and you know that. Like there's a lot of people in the NFL talk to each other, and I think that sometimes they definitely probably talk. Whatever. I'm not going to. The reporters are amazing. Like they have great information, but I just think the fact that like everybody's being linked to everybody now. Every team with a vacancy has about 27 candidates. Like
that's the team's fault. They're interviewing everyone under the sun. That's not the reporter's fault.
Well,
these interviews are happening.
Yeah, but then they're linked to 700 other people. Like it's gotten a little out of control. Will you admit this coaching carousel is crazy? Like how many different I have the Raiders and the Jets and the Jags. They're all like interviewing 35 people. Like, what's going on here?
I think it probably goes to show that either there's not enough good candidates, or that they're not giving guys enough time to learn on the job anyway. So you have some vacancies like the Patriots. I'm fine. They hired Vrabel. We can talk about that. But should they have fired Mayo? Like, should this vacancy even be a vacancy?
I think it's Zoom.
Giving up.
I think it's always a Zoom. So now you can do as many interviews as you want without leaving. So there's a lot. There are a lot of hour Zooms. Because otherwise, like logistically, like is the owner going to sit and talk to all these people? Aren't these billionaires?
No, this is round one. The owner doesn't get involved in round one.
So wait, all the owners are out on all these first round interviews?
I don't know if they're all out, but I don't know if Woody Johnson's sitting through 14 head coaching interviews.
And how many GMs?
And countless.
I don't think the owners are really in on the definitely the head coaches right now. that's a second round thing.
No,
maybe the general managers,
maybe the GMs because you work so
closer to the owner. But
this is also how this process gets manipulated, right? Because what do? If you want to get the guy you want hired and you want to present these to the owner, first guy, not the guy. Second guy is the guy you want, and then the third guy, not the guy, to reinforce that the second guy's the guy. Guys, this tale as old as time.
Do you tell me, by the way, you don't think Robert Kraft sat in on the Ben Johnson interview? I'll bet you he did.
First one, no.
I bet you for that guy, I bet you he did.
That's a weird scenario because remember, they didn't do a second round of interviews. They literally just did one round and said, all right, Vrabel, you're the guy. So maybe he did. I don't know. But I think for these teams that are definitely doing multiple interviews, like the Jets, the Bears, like they're going to have multiple rounds. I don't think that Woody or the McCaskies, definitely not the McCaskies, are involved in this first round of interviews.
What about Woody's sons?
Yeah, I was like, do Brick and Jack get a seat at the table? Bogusch is here with headlines on this very busy Monday.
Guys, here's a riddle sponsored by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com.
I hate Manny.
At least the Chargers, Steelers, and Packers looked crappy on the road. The Buccaneers made their mistakes at home last night.
1st and 10, they're at their own 15-yard line. In motion, Jalen McMillan. It's a fumble, the ball's on the ground! It's out! Does Washington have it? They do! A turnover at the 13!
Just got punched by Fletch! I just got punched!
Bram Weinstein, London Fletcher on Commanders radio. Baker Mayfield messing up a handoff deep in his own territory after the Tampa D. It stopped Washington on 4th down in the red zone. The Bucs' miscues continued with penalties, poor clock management, and then this.
The snap is down, the spot is down, the kick is airborne. It is good. It hit the right upright and went through. My goodness.
Well, it hit the upright. Yeah, we couldn't tell if it went in or not, but it did.
It went in. Zane Gonzalez from 37 yards out with zeros on the clock, so the Commanders get a 23-20 win in Tampa to survive Wild Card Weekend. Mayfield and company, the only home team to lose so far this weekend.
It's disappointing because I really believed in this team. I still do, but obviously it's every year is different. The roster is going to look different, so that's the sad part about it is this group had the makeup to go all the way, and unfortunately we didn't bring our best stuff tonight, and Washington did.
This was the Commanders' first playoff win since 2006. They play in Detroit this weekend. The Eagles will host the Rams or Vikings Sunday afternoon after smothering the Packers yesterday 22-10 in Philly. Jalen Hurts 2 touchdown passes, 3 picks from Jordan Love while losing multiple wideouts and O-linemen to injury during the game. Now, yesterday began with the Bills running away from the Broncos, a 31-7 final in Buffalo. Josh Allen's offense had the ball for more than 41 minutes. He threw for 2 scores while James Cook ran for 120 and a touchdown. On that crazy coaching front, the Patriots officially hired Mike Vrabel yesterday, and the Bears interviewed Ron Rivera. Notre Dame left tackle Anthony Knapp will miss the national title game with a high ankle sprain suffered in their semifinal last week. The Cleveland Cavaliers have lost again, their 12-game win streak ending with a 108-93 home loss to the Pacers.
What disappointed me was our first half was phenomenal defensively, and then the second half we fell off.
That's head coach Kenny Atkinson. Indy won that second half 68-40 to extend their win streak to 6. The Suns rallying late to beat the Hornets 120-113, and the Thunder smoked the Wizards 136-95. 41 points is OKC's largest win of this season. The Vegas Golden Knights, a 4-1 win over Minnesota. They join Washington and Winnipeg atop the NHL with 61 points. It is already night 2 at the Australian Open. Novak Djokovic, Carlos Alcaraz winning their first-round matches. It took Djokovic 4 sets to do so. And yesterday included a record-tying comeback in women's college basketball. Pitt was down 46-14 late second quarter SMU. They won 72-59, the 32-point turnaround, matching the largest ever.
Wow.
Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, you feeling all right?
I feel good, but I feel better than I sound.
You sound, like deep voice.
Yeah.
Baritone.
You sound like whatever's going around.
Yeah, thanks.
But you feel okay.
I feel okay. Yes, I feel okay. I felt bad Friday night, Saturday. I feel much better, but now I sound like this.
I'm really into this women's 46-14. That's insane. I think we all are glossing over that. If you're up 46-14, it's like time to put in the bench warmers.
Yeah, and then they only scored, if my math is right, they scored 13 more points between.
How do you get up 46-14 on a team and then lose the game?
Sitting
I don't
on
know.
the lead.
In basketball,
you do that with a
prevent
shot
defense.
clock, but yeah, something like that.
Should have shot more mid-range shots.
Yes. The philosophy that will tear this show apart. All right, I've got a trivia question for everybody. I'm going to ask you the question. We'll give you the answer on the other side of the break. No Googling anyone. Manny, Perloff, Bogusch, EJ, honor system, audience. Okay, here's the question.
I'm going to say I know no matter what it is. I'm just going to say I know.
I think I know what the question is going to be.
You do?
Think so, but we'll see.
That's so funny that you would guess the question. All right. Usually guess the answer the way the trivia goes. Anywho, okay. Jaden Daniels.
Yep, I knew it too.
Rookie quarterback wins
I
on the road. You already know it?
Yeah, they said it during the game.
And I got the question wrong. Damn it.
Oh, man.
Had the question right too. I had them both.
All right, well, let's ask it for the audience. You guys don't say a word. Doesn't look like Manny knows what I'm talking about. You're still in?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Jaden Daniels became the 4th rookie quarterback to win their playoff debut on the road. Who were the other 3 QBs?
Oh, that I just remember they said the last one, and by which I already forgot who that was, but I know with like 2 minutes left. Jaden Daniels will become the first rookie quarterback to win since this guy.
Don't say it.
But I could think about it.
You can think of who
4.
it is.
So they're 4. And how far back does this go? Like Super Bowl era or?
At least 2 are relatively recent. At least 2 Manny should know.
Yeah, Super Bowl era.
Super Bowl. Oh, yeah. So 4.
So Jaden Daniels
to get my head wrapped
was
around
the
it.
4th.
Yes.
Okay.
Who are the other 3 quarterbacks in history to win their playoff debuts on the road? 855-212-4227. Little trivia. We also have, the one unit this weekend, like single unit that just looked the worst. Unforgivable amidst a weekend of really, really bad football. We'll get to that next, MNP.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Asked you a trivia question going into the break. Here's what it was. So last night, Jayden Daniels won his rookie, obviously he's a rookie, his playoff debut on the road. Three other rookies won their first playoff games on the road.
Oh, jeez.
Do you know the other three?
I only think of one.
Okay. Well, there's one I could swear, and I might have got it wrong. Tirico brought up a situation with a rookie quarterback last night, and I don't remember if he said on the road. So that's where I'm. Okay. Because there probably are. I'm implying that there are a lot of quarterbacks who won at home in their rookie debut. The way you keep saying road, probably.
Or just rookies don't win playoff games a lot, like a Bo Nix yesterday. I mean, it's more likely you're going to have a Bo Nix style debut than you are a Jayden Daniels style debut.
Well, can I take one guess?
Yeah, EJ said he's got one too. Go ahead.
Well, I thought Tirico said Russell Wilson.
You're right. Russell Wilson is one of those rookies who won their first playoff game on the road.
Right. So that Seattle team, when he was a rookie, I don't remember exactly how their path. A couple guesses. Was Brock Purdy on the road or was he at home?
Brock Purdy not on the road.
Okay. How about...
Be careful, though.
Dak as a rookie. Did he win a home game?
Dak did not. Is not on this list.
Wasn't that the
EJ has one, though.
Yeah.
Well, Mark Sanchez.
Sanchez. I knew you were going to get that one.
He won on the... Oh, that was on the road? I thought they were like a division champ that year. No, they were...
No.
Patriots.
They never had a home game.
Oh, they were behind the Patriots.
Tom Brady existed in that period.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Now, they beat Tom Brady in New England, but that was not that game.
Yeah, first game was against Cincinnati.
Yep. So you have one more. You got Russell Wilson and you got Mark Sanchez. Who is the other quarterback who made their rookie postseason debut on the road and won? And I'll give you a hint. Guy's still active.
I thought you said 4.
Yeah, well, Jayden Daniels became the 4th.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
That's crazy. He's still active?
Still active. And by the way I'm saying it.
Still, well, Rodgers was definitely not a rookie. He didn't play.
No, he didn't play for 3 years.
It's not Lamar because he kept losing. He lost his first game against the Chargers.
Not Lamar.
Okay, so he's still active.
It makes me feel like he's playing in the playoffs now.
He is not.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Yeah, let's say Matthew Stafford definitely didn't make the playoffs his first year.
I'll give you guys a hint.
Wait. We don't need a hit. Come on, EJ, we don't need a hit.
No, I feel terrible. I can't get this.
Manny probably wasn't alive if even if he's still active.
Debatable.
All right, give us a hit.
Oh, is it? No, it's not Andy.
Here's a question. Is he elite?
Flacco.
Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco also won his rookie debut, rookie playoff debut on the road.
God. Now can you find out how many won at home if there were?
I'm not the research team.
I'm just, well, yeah, but it was your trivia question. I think you're responsible for finding
now
that
for
out.
any follow-ups, I'm also responsible for. Fair. I'll get right on that. Meanwhile, we still haven't really had any good ideas about what the Steelers are going to do for their quarterback situation and their head coach situation.
Yeah, I'm about to say, which is the bigger problem, the head coaching situation or the quarterback? I would argue the head coaching situation is the bigger problem. Now, it's not just X's and O's. It's not that they're too conservative. You could see they were not trying on Saturday night. There were a lot of plays where Henry or Jackson would be running and the safety just wouldn't step up and hit him. I get not hitting Henry, but they just looked lackadaisical on defense. So obviously Tomlin's message is worn thin. It's not hitting home anymore.
It was the most stunning moment of the weekend. If we could distill it down to one thing, and you know what I'm about to say, because we talked about this last night, and Perloff and I were laughing about it. Actually, you brought it up first. The most stunning moment of the 20,000 hours of football that we all watched this weekend was the fact that the Steelers' defense was playing so lackluster that Kirk Herbstreit called them out. Kirk Herbstreit is one of the great college football announcers, right, of our time.
Oh, he's the man, yeah.
He has not had an opinion about the NFL in the 3 years that he's been calling primetime games for Amazon. Do you notice this? It is a completely different broadcaster when he's calling the NFL versus college. College, he's got an opinion on everything. In the NFL, he's got an opinion on nothing. The fact that Kirk Herbstreit called out the Pittsburgh Steelers for their lack of hustle was the most stunning, and by the way, correct. Herbie was correct about it. The most stunning moment of the weekend. I'm like, this dude has an opinion?
Yeah.
About anything NFL?
It was lack of heart. It was total lack of, the Ravens didn't try and disguise anything. They said, we're running on first down, we're running on second down, we're running on third down. Stop us. And the Steelers are like, nah, we're good. Minka Fitzpatrick in particular is supposed to be a superstar. If I'm a Steelers fan, I'm not going to forgive him for his performance. TJ Watt, I think TJ Watt was hurt personally. Like, he can't be that bad. But TJ Watt couldn't rush a passer because there was no passer to rush. It was just Henry, Jackson. The little guy comes in, he gets a handoff and goes again. It was ridiculous. The Steelers knew exactly what was coming and could not even make a single hard hit the entire game.
Listen, when you're up 21-0, there's no rushing the passer. Like, that's it. The game's over. Good night. And it's funny because you mentioned Minka Fitzpatrick and, TJ Watt obviously maybe hurt or didn't have a great game. Highsmith's coming back from an injury, all that stuff. How about Patrick Queen getting called out?
Well,
that was one of the highest paid free agents that the Steelers have brought over in quite some time. And he was getting called out. Here's Mike Tomlin on the one and done runs in the playoffs. It's now been 8 years since they've had a playoff win.
Just assessing what transpired tonight. As I told you guys earlier in the week, those are my bags, not this collector's bags. And so my energy is on that group in there and what they were willing to give and the journey that we've been on this year. And certainly it came to a disappointing end tonight.
Here's the thing about Tomlin. I think we can all do two things, right? You can appreciate that Tomlin has gotten more out of teams in the past with less. But at some point, when you haven't won a playoff game in your last 8 tries, what coach on earth would escape criticism from that? And by the way, the fact that you didn't have a quarterback going into this year is your fault, basically. Kenny Pickett never got developed. Maybe he sucks. Maybe he's a career backup, but he never got developed in this team. And then you went into the season with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields because they were cheap and maybe you had something. But doesn't that not trickle down to the head coach also?
Definitely. But all of it comes down to defensive effort on Saturday night. That was just unacceptable.
I don't know how Tomlin would escape criticism here.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy. You're just not watching. 855-212-4227. All right. Who had the worst day of Wild Card Weekend? There's one person. It's not even close. Number one with a bang.
That sucked.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Awaiting the shotgun snap. Justin Herbert creeping up toward the line, leaning in. Now backs up, leaning back on his left foot, gets the shotgun snap. Looks to the left, pumps and throws left side. Too tall, it's intercepted. Picked off down the sideline. Eric Murray, he's going to take it unmolested for a Houston pick six.
Kevin Kugler on Westwood One. If you are picking one person who had the worst of the worst weekends, Pearl, it had to have been Justin Herbert. Saturday, first game to get wild card weekend kicked off. They go down, they score first, they have 6-0 lead, and then Justin Herbert starts throwing pick after pick after pick, 4 in total. Not all of them were his fault, but 2 out of the 4 were definitely his fault. He finishes the game with a quarterback rating of 41. That is not what you expect from someone who's supposed to have this great talent. We know that Justin Herbert has a lot of talent. He's now laid an egg in 2 of the 2 playoff games that he's appeared in.
My only counter to that was a full team loss. Like, putting that on Justin Herbert, to me, doesn't tell the whole story because, first of all, the line had no prayer. I mean, the Texans' pass rush is ferocious. I mean, Will Anderson, Danico Autry, Danielle Hunter, like, they were living on the top of Justin Herbert. But it could have been 6 interceptions. He had a bunch of balls tipped because he had no breathing room. He had no pocket whatsoever. That's one thing I would say. Second thing is his targets are god-awful. By the end of the game, he was like, I'm just throwing to McConkey every time. I can't trust any of these idiots.
Well, McConkey ended up having a great game, but that was it. That was the whole offense. And here's the thing about that. That's what I've always heard about Justin Herbert, right? Is that the line has been bad and everyone's been in his lap and he never has any time to throw. Well, here's the thing. Move around a little bit. Figure it out. Is it too much to ask somebody who is top 5 highest paid quarterback in this league to try to figure out when the pass rush is coming at you? Now, listen, maybe nobody would be able to figure this out. Maybe this is Tom Brady playing against the Giants in the Super Bowl and they're just all over him. But I don't think so, because I do think that Justin Herbert is mobile, and yet he felt like a sitting duck back there. And I just think that when you have a guy who's this highly touted, who does get a lot of praise, especially this year, teaming up with Jim Harbaugh, it's a perfect coach-quarterback combination. When you have him, your favorite going on the road, the Texans have just not been themselves. They do not look at all like the team we saw last year in the postseason. They've not looked like that this year. And you have a guy, you're coming in with an amazing QB. And for the second time, it was the first time he made it to the playoffs when they got out to the 27-0 lead, and then they end up losing to the Jags in one of the big comebacks for the Jacksonville. And now with this one, and 2 of those 4 interceptions were really, really bad. Really bad.
Yeah, but don't you think he was pushing, like, he got desperate. He's like, I have to try and make a play because we're losing this game. So do you give him a little pass? Obviously, his whole philosophy changed later in the game. He started to really try and make a play because they couldn't run the ball. So he's like, God, I got to try something. I think he pressed and it's like, I got to make a play. Otherwise, we're going to lose this game.
No, the first interception he threw, they were ahead, weren't they? They were up 6-0. But that in the second quarter.
But was that one of the inexcusable ones?
I thought that was a bad one. I thought the first one.
Was that the Lassiter one?
That was Lassiter. And it was to Quentin Johnston. It was
again,
a bad idea.
That's weird that it was to Quentin Johnson.
Well,
I wonder if he fought for that ball.
He could play a little defense there. I'm not gonna, but it was a bad idea and it was a bad throw.
I thought that was a sick interception, by the way.
You're right. The McConkey interception, it was high. McConkey probably should have come down with it, but there was not a defender really in the area. So that's just Justin Herbert missing a throw. I know the pocket was collapsing on him, but it's the playoffs. It's never going to be perfect. The third one, not his fault. Will Dissly goes right through the hands, alligator arms, whatever. And then the fourth one's in garbage time, totally underthrew his man. I don't know. You can't be this high paid and this highly touted and then go out and play like that in the playoffs and expect not to get criticized. It's just you have to wear it.
I think it's a misread of where the Chargers are, though. Like that implies if Justin Herbert just played better, the Chargers would be a thing. Now, listen, they shouldn't have been in the playoffs. They rightfully pointed out at the end of the game, like they didn't beat anybody this year. They had one one win over a winning team. It was the Broncos, who also did belong. So the Chargers were ahead of schedule because they had the easiest. They came in with the 6th easiest schedule, but it ended up being the easiest schedule. So basically, they kind of got lucky to even be there. They can't. This is a Jim Harbaugh team. Like, as bad as Herbert was, the run game has been ever since J.K. Dobbins got hurt earlier in the year. I know he came back. They can't run the ball at all. So how is Jim Harbaugh going to win games when he can't run the ball? He has no chance. So what happens moving forward? I don't care about it. This team, even if they'd won that game, isn't going anywhere. So the question is, like, is he going to be able to establish this identity? See, I don't look at Justin Herbert as a problem. You draft Joe Alt in the first round, a number 5 overall, you better be able to run the ball because there are no receivers, and they can't. They just cannot move the bat. Herbert has no help. You said he should scramble. Where is he to scramble? Watch those plays. Will Anderson's coming one way. The middle's coming up, and there's nowhere to go. He just gets demolished every time he drops back.
Okay, well, then you should probably be blaming the coaching because you've got first-round picks on the offensive line, and if they can't protect him, then what's that worth? And then secondly, the other reason why I'll put this on Herbert is because the defense actually played well. And maybe that's because the Texans' offense is not what it was last year, but at the same time, you spoiled what was a really good defensive effort. Now you got Khalil Mack mulling retirement, and you're going to have changes there. I thought the Chargers defense came out like they were ready to go. It was the offense that let them down, and Justin Herbert is the highest paid player on that team by a lot.
There's a play early in the game that really summed up where the Chargers are to me.
What's that?
Basically, it was a pass play, and of course the line didn't hold up. But somehow Herbert moved up in the pocket and threw a dime, 25 yards downfield, hit Will Disley right between the numbers, went right through him.
Yeah, well,
maybe it was a 25. And then it's like, oh, crap. Herbert immediately, you could see he was pressing yesterday because he thought, I have to be the savior here, and he can't do it. Even the play, every interception, we talked about the first interception, he's like, I got to make a play. I'm going to run around. I'm going to throw 45 yards downfield. I just think that they're going to look back at this and say, you started really, really pressing. And yeah, of course, it was a horrible game and a horrible day. But to me, this is a team loss, not a Justin Herbert loss. If Herbert had played great, they still would have lost this game because, there was nobody, there's no targets, there's no run game. Eventually, you could take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's not true. If he had played great,
what was he going to do? No, there's no way. There's no quarterback who's going to win that game. The Texans defense is fantastic, and the Chargers had no answer. No quarterback is going to be able to pick himself off the mat and won that game. I don't think the Chargers are in a position. They're definitely not a quarterback away. They have many, many other issues.
855-212-4227. How much blame are you putting on Justin Herbert versus just the team, I guess? Perloff asked a good question last hour too, EJ, if we can put this up on the poll. When it comes to the Steelers, is this more about they need a quarterback or do they need a new coach? What's the bigger priority there? But for this Chargers game, how about how much blame you put on Herbert? I think he had the worst weekend of anybody. Because here's the thing, you could say Bo Nix was not as effective. Bo Nix, nobody expected Bo Nix to do anything.
Right.
You're talking about who else had bad weekends? Did you really think that Russell Wilson was going to lead the Steelers back when they're down 21-0? And what evidence did you have of that all season long?
He actually started to throw some dimes out there.
Yeah, because the Ravens were we got this.
But also, dude, the Steelers offense actually let Russell throw. By the way, Bo Nix had 5 passes a whole game. Their defense is so passive that they never got the ball back. And Russell Wilson, same thing. He never touched the ball.
But this is what I'm saying. Yeah. Of all the people who had terrible weekends, the combination of Justin Herbert, high expectation, high salary, Jim Harbaugh's impact the first year he's with the team, you're favored. You've got an opponent who's committing penalties left and right. The Texans got called for 8 penalties in this game. They didn't play a clean game. There was a path here for you to win. I disagree with you on that. And I think Herbert has to feel like the worst, he's the worst of the weekend.
What would you have done if you were the offensive coordinator? What would your strategy have been?
Listen, I understand you want to give a lot of credit to the defensive backs for the Texans. They are very
good. Their
defense
forget them. What about the defensive line? That was a murder scene. They should have put yellow tape around the chart. I'll bet you if we look at PFF, the win rate was 80% on the Texans pass rush.
How about some extra protection? I don't remember how many
Extra
times
protection,
did I
like,
see an extra lineman in there? Did I see tight ends on the line?
You already have no targets. You're going to keep some back. I mean, there was a great tweet, and actually, I think it was Breer. I can't remember. Burt Breer, the NFL writer for MMQB. The Chargers didn't mess up by taking Joe Alt over Malik Neighbors, which was a controversial draft pick because they messed up when they took Quentin Johnson over Zay Flowers.
Well, that was Tom Telesco, wasn't it?
They screwed up. The Chargers have not built a receiving core. They don't have great tight ends. And this year, unfortunately, they tried to cobble together a running back room with Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. Like this, Harbaugh has not built the team yet. I think the worst, and you can't put on what the Steelers' run defense to me was the worst of the weekend because this is football. This is about being a man and manning up, and they just wilted under the pressure. They were terrified of tackling Derrick Henry, which I understand, but I'm sorry, just put your helmet into somebody just once. Just make people know you're alive out there. They didn't even, they gave up so early in that game. They just gave up. I could not believe it.
Yeah, you give up 300 yards on the ground. It's not a good day.
To a team who is not even trying to, they didn't have to lead back on the pass. There were no receivers on the Ravens. They have Rashad Bateman. There's no safety in the background. Maybe Bateman beat you once.
Well, Isaiah Likely had a really nice catch early on that kept the drive going. He's a tight end. I understand
he's a second-string tight end. Basically, you have nothing to worry about except the run, and you just screwed it up. You really did not try hard.
855-212-4227. John's in Western New York has a thought on the Steelers. We talked about a lot in the first hour. Mike Tomlin, the quarterback situation. Perloff just mentioned the run defense non-existent. Good morning, John.
Good morning, guys. I just want to make a comment about with the Steelers. I read this morning. I get on the internet and look at all the local papers down there. And I'm seeing a lot of finger pointing, and I'm afraid the problem with the Steelers. I don't know. I'm sure you don't remember, but I told you in preseason I thought they were going to end up 5-12, and they overachieved early. But the problem that I see is that when they went through that 3 games in 11 days and the competition they played against. I think all the wind was taken out of their sails because in playing the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Eagles, it really showed that they were not amongst the elite of the NFL, and I think that had a lot to do with their psyche.
Yeah.
The other problem that I keep harping on to some of my relatives down in Pennsylvania is that they put a lot of capital into their offensive line. Over the past 4 years, there's been 2 number 1s at tackle, a number 2 at center, 2 number 4s. This last draft, their first four picks, they picked 3 offensive linemen. Plus, there was a number of offensive free agents that they pulled in.
Yeah, Isaac Seumalo from the Perloff's Eagles was a big
right, and they lost Daniels from that they got from the Bears too. He got injured earlier in the year. But the point I'm going to make is that the whole idea of this Arthur Smith offense was that they were going to be able to pound the ball down people's throats, and they never really accomplished that. Against mediocre competition, yes, but against the elite teams, no. And so here's the problem, and I don't think Tomlin gets this, and that is that the defense expends more energy than the offense does, just because that they have to be moving all the time to attack the quarterback, whereas offensive linemen sometimes, unless they're running, on a running attack, they're basically set in their position and they're looking to defend. So what I'm getting at is by week 17, you can't expect your defense to be out on the field for 35, 40 minutes a game and think they're going to play the same way that they did in week 2.
Yeah, listen, John, and I think that it's funny because the other part of this, and it's the complimentary part, and John, great points there, and sorry about your Steelers, is when you can't keep drives alive.
Keep drives alive. You can't even get a first down.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're just
exactly.
asked, and he said time possession, so he's basically saying the same. I'm saying the same thing he's saying, but
I do disagree a little bit.
Favors.
Think about the Eagles game, and I watch it closely because I'm an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
The Steelers had 2 drives in the second half. Their defense they became somehow a bend don't break. Like they were completely. The Eagles just ran the ball and short passed it all night long. That was the blueprint. The Eagles won 27-13, and Pittsburgh literally only touched the ball twice in the entire second half. And you saw the Ravens did the same exact thing. The Ravens had 9-minute drive, which was, to me, it was like, Tomlin, you got to do something. Someone's got to punch a football. Someone's got to be aggressive. Someone's got to take a risk. But they seemed content to just sit back and not get blown out, which is weird. They were so non-aggressive defensively.
Time of possession, Ravens had the ball for 40 minutes. 39 minutes and 33 seconds, whereas Steelers had the ball for 20 minutes.
Right. The Ravens only threw 21 passes in the entire game. I mean, they just ran, and the Steelers, I couldn't believe them. Like, I could see this unfolding in front of me. You have to get aggressive. Like, I guess it's kind of hard to stop Lamar and Derrick Henry. Easier said than done. You'll have that assignment this week with your Bills.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. 855-212-4227 is kind of setting up as the game of the weekend. You know, it's funny. I don't think anyone's really giving the Texans any shots against the Chiefs. Maybe this is setting up nicely here for both number one overall seeds. Lions are going to get to play the Commanders, kind of surprise season. And now you have the Lions play the Commanders, and now you have the Chiefs are going to get to play the Texans.
Wait, you say that like, yeah, I mean, the Chiefs have won 2 straight Super Bowls. Like, I mean, they're
saying, and things are
breaking well. Like, I don't think
listen, last year they were coming off a Super Bowl win. They had to go to Buffalo. They had to go to Baltimore. Yeah. Now they sit home. They get the Texans coming in.
I don't think it matters. I mean, they should beat anybody. It feels like they'll get the winner of the Ravens, Bills. I feel like whatever the Steelers did, like Steve Spagnuolo is not going to let any of that happen. He's going to watch the film of these 2 games, and he's going to figure out that RPO. I feel like if I could do my mulligan, unfortunately, I think your Bills and Ravens are going to murder each other this weekend. And whoever limps out of that, again, you're right, does break. It has to go to Arrowhead. And Spagnuolo is just going to have an answer for both running quarterbacks. And I'm very curious to see how this plays out.
855-212-4227. All right, so we're asking you a couple questions here about the Steelers. What's the most pressing, urgent need here? Is it quarterback or is it change at coach? Option C, both.
Do we have a poll up on this, right, EJ?
Poll is up.
Ooh, that's a tough one to vote on.
That's a tough one.
Early results suggest that it is not a tough one.
Coach, right?
Oh, no.
A quarterback. Well, they don't even have a quarterback, but that's ridiculous. It's a silly answer because if Mike Tomlin's your coach, what quarterback is going to do anything? Maggie tried all weekend to find a solution for this, and she couldn't think of anything.
I came up with Justin Fields.
Who's already on the team.
Well, I know. That's it. That's all I had.
But why? What's the point?
Maybe there's still more in the tank there. More to develop. There's more. We watched him at Ohio State. Maybe there's more.
How does it play out if the Steelers bring back Justin Fields as their starter next year? Everybody on earth knows what their record will be and what the playoff result will be.
855-212-4227. Anyone got any better ideas for the Steelers? We're all ears. All right, coming up, lots more, including there's a move it seems like everybody likes. I'm not so sure it's going to work out that great. That's just me. We'll hit that next. Perloff, guess who's a winner?
Who?
This gal.
Nice.
Right here, Prize Picks over the weekend. Finally won a bet. Whew. Long streak. It was a down streak, but it was worth it to stick with it because Prize Picks made me a winner, and they can do the same for you. Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. 10 million members, billions of dollars in awarded winnings, and we love the app because it's so easy to use. You download it, you pick more or less on 2 players across any sport, more or less on the projection. You could win up to 1,000 times your money. Can I offer you something for the Knicks fans in the house? So you got a little Matthew Stafford, Perloff. I'm seeing 200 and... What am I seeing here? 246, I believe. Ooh, 240 and a half.
Big number.
Okay, so I'm going to go less than, and then you can put that with Josh Hart. I'm going to go less than 9.5 rebounds. There you go.
Awesome.
I'm fading Josh Hart and Matthew Stafford.
You can only do stuff like that on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. You can play in 40-plus states, including now, Maggie, California and Texas. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code MNP to get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. That's code MNP on PrizePicks to get a $50 credit instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Mand P.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Okay. I'm jealous because Maggie had a killer trivia question earlier in the show. You want to share what the trivia question was again and the results?
Yeah, sure. The trivia question was as follows. Jaden Daniels became the 4th rookie quarterback to win their first career playoff game on the road. Who were the other 3? Jaden Daniels, 4th rookie quarterback to win their first career playoff game on the road. Who were the other 3? The answers were Russell Wilson, Mark Sanchez, and the immortal Joe Flacco.
Okay. Can I build on that? Just because you guys will have fun with this. There have been, according to my research, there have been 11 quarterbacks in the last 25 years to win as a rookie. So there were 7 more at home.
Okay.
I'm just curious if you guys can guess any of them. So you have the 4 on the road.
Well, I know Brock and CJ Stroud the last 2 years.
Yep.
Right. So, okay.
CJ last year, Brock 2 years ago.
So that's 2. So we're down to 6.
Deshaun
with 5.
Watson?
5 more. I don't think he's on this list. No, there is a Texans quarterback, and it is not Deshaun Watson. And he beat Andy Dalton. TJ Yates.
Oh, TJ.
Ben. Okay, so we have 8. 3 more. One is obvious because I said in the last segment I was wrong.
I don't know. I'm not paying attention.
He won at home, I guess, and then okay. Well, Big Ben won.
I was going to say Roethlisberger.
Big Ben.
I should have said that.
So there's 2 more that are really
Dan
exciting.
Marino won it.
Because one has been a guest on our
last 25 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
25 years, my bad.
One has been a guest on our show many times, and I just absolutely adore this guy. And you will not guess it unless you really think hard. And it's a long time ago.
He's been on our show many times?
Yes. And he won as a rookie. He's a quarterback.
Andy Dalton?
Nope. Andy famously never won a playoff game. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, now I'm just thinking about who's been on the show.
Ross Tucker doesn't play quarterback.
AFC or NFC?
He's an NFC quarterback. I believe he went to Tulane. He's super nice guy.
Not J.P. Lossman. He's the only Tulane quarterback I can think of.
I think he went to Tulane.
Bill's legend.
I got to remember.
Good old days.
That term loosely.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Sean
King.
Sean King.
Yes.
Definitely went to Tulane.
Yeah, he definitely went to Tulane.
And then,
he is a prince of a dude, too. Very fun to talk to.
That's
we haven't
funny.
talked to him in a while because he lives in Vegas, so he can't come on the morning show now.
The last one is impossible. There's no way you guys get. No way in a million years if you guys have one of the most random, like really good quarterback, just random.
They won their first rookie playoff game at home.
Yes. I even give you the team. Well,
is that RG3?
No,
they lost. Remember he tore up his knee.
Yeah,
that was the first
unfortunately
playoff game?
He was at home.
Andrew Luck
that
with the big
horrible
comeback.
turf.
That wasn't a rookie season.
It is New Orleans Saints.
Oh, is it? It's not Jeff Brooks, right?
Hey, you're close. You have the last name right.
Aaron Brooks.
Aaron Brooks. Yeah, that was right. But I love that Sean King won that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's the only reason I said that. But 4 have done it on the road, so it can be done. It's not that hard to win as a rookie.
Well, I don't know if
it's happened 3 years in a row.
I don't think that was easy last night for Jaden Daniels. I mean, they were down in the red zone and they were going for it on 4th and goal.
I see
time after time, and they eventually got it after Baker Mayfield had a terrible fumble.
I see this game a little bit differently, I think, than you guys. I felt like the Commanders should have taken control of this game early. I thought the Bucs looked awful.
Well, they kept failing in the red zone, but that's where your defense constricts so much that the Bucs were getting really effective down there.
I was watching that game. I'm like, I thought the Commanders were going to blow that one open early because the Bucs just didn't seem to be able to move the ball, which was weird because they're such a good offense.
Well, they had Mike Evans, who one of the great catches I think I've ever seen, which was just to convert a first down, so it wasn't even in the end zone. But somehow he went full Neo in the Matrix, levitating over the ground and reaching his arm back. I thought they were going to win after he did that.
It's funny.
And they fumbled 2 snaps later.
They were up, but I still felt like the Commanders had sort of control of the game in a weird way. Like the Bucs just looked a little sloppy all night long, and there was 2 botched fumble snaps that cost them. They were botched snaps. One was a handoff to McMillan that was the fumble in the red zone. The other was 3rd and inches, and they botched the snap and screwed that up. So the Bucs are probably pretty mad at themselves. But honestly, they did not play great football last night. They kind of came up small at home.
definitely. And it's the home upset.
That's another coach that we got to get into, Todd Bowles. Where are you going with that guy?
Was he trying to get fired last night? Why doesn't he call timeout quickly enough? Like, he's letting precious seconds come off the clock.
He's Todd Bowles.
But, like, there's not someone else. Like, here's the thing. You're the head coach. I get it. You're the one calling timeouts. Aren't there 20 people also on the coaching staff who are like, Todd, timeout here. Meanwhile, tick, 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 tick. I thought teams have like a timeout guy, like a game management specialist.
Like Dick Curl with the Jets, that guy? That's a guy, right?
Yes, somebody.
I think Andy Reid hired one at one point, too.
Yes, he did.
If you have trouble figuring out when to call timeouts, you got to hire somebody who can just be your timeout guy.
I think there's a chance that these coaches are not actually listening to these guys. Like, I think like the guys probably tell him, hey, call timeout. And he's like, well, should I hear? Let me think.
Todd Bowles has been a head coach now for a combined decade.
Oh, trust me, I know.
You know, it's interesting, too, because
he still has timeouts left over from his Jets days.
I know, exactly.
10-win season to make the playoffs. That's all.
So they're going to lose Liam Cohen, right, to the Jags.
Good luck to whoever hires him.
Why? What's wrong with Liam Cohen?
No, his offense was
not
messy
good
last night.
Well, yeah, but they couldn't get the Commanders off the field. Their offense was. I don't know if Liam Cohen seems like a promising coach to me. He had a good year.
So I mean, are you thinking do you fire Todd Bowles to keep Liam Cohen?
No, I probably would not. But that being said, like I think Todd Bowles has a limit. I don't think the ceiling
which is why I think I'd
high.
fire him to keep Liam Cohen.
I would probably fire Todd Bowles, but he's a good coach for sure. But I don't know, like, what's your goal? To just make the playoffs or to win the Super Bowl? Because I don't think Todd Bowles is going to win the Super Bowl. I think he's really solid. I think the players like respond to him.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think there's a chance to, like, Cohen, he inherited a lot, I think, from Dave Canales, who I think kind of laid the foundation for that offense.
Yeah.
So anybody hiring him, I would caution him a little bit, saying, hey, Canales went there when they were an absolute train wreck offensively. Tom Brady was getting destroyed behind that terrible offensive line that got injured, and he kind of rebuilt Baker Mayfield in a year. Like, I don't know how much is Cohen kind of feeding off of whatever was established from Canales.
Yeah, but Cohen had a good year. He turned Kentucky, who can't move the ball at all, into a good offensive team. That was the
fact that
miracle.
He got Will Levis drafted in any round.
that was
probably the resume.
That was the miracle that Liam Cohen created.
We saw them the following year. This year. Oh my God.
Beat Ole Miss.
I gotta be honest, Maggie, you don't love just calling the guy who's like a strict, like Liam Cohen seems like a play caller through and through, not a head coach. The way he presents himself. I met him at the Kansas City draft. Nicest dude you will ever meet.
I'm sure. But he's got coordinator gets the head job, fired in 2 years written all over.
Yeah, but he's also got McVay assistant Kevin O'Connell vibes too. I would have said that about Kevin O'Connell. I was like, oh God, he's like an offensive coach.
Yeah, and by the way, Kevin O'Connell went into this season without a contract. So it's not like he put together a great season to save his job. He was a guy who was basically on the hot seat.
Yeah, but I mean, he's won at a very, very high percentage. So, I mean, if you could get Kevin O'Connell with Liam Cohen, I would take that for sure.
Kevin O'Connell got beat in a playoff game by Daniel Jones.
Okay. You don't like Kevin O'Connell?
No, I do. I'm just saying.
Top 10 coach in the league for sure.
He's going to win Coach of the Year now, but let's not rewrite this whole thing. He came into this season, their win total was 6.5, and he was didn't nearly have the leverage that he is now. He had to put together a great season.
Well, I'm just saying, if you could get, if any team out there is interviewing, they think Liam Cohen's the next Kevin O'Connell, they're going to hire him in 2 seconds. He's going to go to Jacksonville and be 4-13. I don't know, like maybe not with Trevor Lawrence, but I think Cohen's an interesting prospect. But here's the thing, guys like Bowles, like we've seen what he can do. So if you're a franchise, do you say, okay, this is good enough, or should we take a shot for something better? I think it's a hard decision for an owner.
You're right. Bogusch has more headlines on a very busy morning. Hey, Bogusch.
Guys, it certainly seemed like Bo Nix and the Broncos were up to the task yesterday afternoon in Buffalo.
Out of the gun, Nix fades back, 7-step drop, steps into a long, high-arcing throw, deep shot to Franklin, end zone, touchdown! The rookie Troy Franklin over the top of multiple Bills defenders. It's 43 yards for the Rook, Bo Nix, and 6-0 Denver.
You could hear the anxiety treadmills starting throughout Bills Mafia. John Sadak on Westwood 1.
This is when I reached for the Kendall Jackson. I was like, is it going to be this kind of day? I don't usually drink on school nights.
Yeah. Take us inside what was your strategy then? You're like,
Okay.
I got to jump on the treadmill. I got to start boozing. Like what?
Yeah.
What was going on?
Both thoughts simultaneously. The booze on the treadmill seems like a dangerous combination. You know what I started doing at that instance?
Angel dust? I don't know. The hard stuff?
The hard stuff. Whenever drugs were in the house, I was doing them. No, I started folding laundry. I had to do something to keep busy. And so I was standing folding laundry on our bed. The laundry's on our bed. And I couldn't sit. I did not sit until they had a 3-score lead.
So that's my second question. When did you feel comfortable?
Midway through the fourth quarter.
This morning.
You know when I actually felt comfortable is when they confirmed the Ty Johnson touchdown.
Not a touchdown.
Yeah, thanks, Bugs, for nothing. 15 referees and multiple camera shots say it was. It was an all-time great touchdown. When they confirmed that, I was like, all right, I think that broke the Broncos.
Did you happen to notice after that first touchdown drive, the Broncos didn't have a first down for about another 37 minutes of game time?
Yeah, where'd Sean Payton's offense go? I saw you. Did you tweet that?
Oh, offensive. Yeah, Sean Payton, offensive genius, got shut out for the last 58 minutes of the game. I mean, they were terrible, but honestly,
the fake punt was good.
That was a beautiful pass.
That was a beautiful pass.
But I blame the defense. The Bills, again, they were not faking, or they don't trust their receivers. They're like, here's James Cook, meet him. He's going to run at you every time. And he wouldn't even get touched until 5 yards down the field. Why was not the entire Broncos defense in the box? I didn't understand.
I think you're
not
scared of? I think you were not crediting the Bills offensive line. I think nobody really talks about the Bills offensive line. They're actually very
But I actually
underrated.
I watched the safety was 25 yards back on all the run plays. I was wondering, is the defensive coordinator watching the same game I am? And then right before the set, the linebackers would move back.
Well, you
the
saw
linebackers
Sean
were
Payton
not in the box.
Screaming at Vance Joseph at the end of the game. They definitely got into it.
Wait, who did?
Sean Payton and Vance Joseph.
Yep.
They were yelling at each other.
Oh, I mean, it was definitely a miss. I didn't understand what was happening. Who's the deep threat on the Bills? Why is the safety over the top like that?
I can't wait until next week when Maggie's folding napkins to
I think both the Ravens and the
excitement.
Bills are in for a shock when they face real teams next week. They had easy warm-ups.
Yeah.
It's going to be such a great chess battle. And this week was not even chess. It was just like a parent playing with a little kid.
It's crazy how Rex Ryan said a team had a bye week this week in the AFC. He did not pick either the Bills or the Ravens as a team. He said the Chargers of all teams had the bye week.
I gotta be honest.
Very wrong. He was very
so
wrong.
He had so many better options too.
I thought the Chargers were going to win for sure because I still remember that Texans-Ravens game, 34-2. I was totally surprised by that game. And even in the beginning of the game, I'm like, oh, this is so easy for the Chargers. They're cutting right through them.
I'm surprised that you guys are surprised because they are the Chargers.
Yeah, I know that.
There is that.
Yeah, there is that. But
Was
Harbaugh, they have Harbaugh.
4 interceptions. Is that chargering? Probably.
Yeah, when the tight end throws one to a defensive player.
Yeah, just not showing up like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another.
Well, is it? But I thought Jim Harbaugh killed the chargering. He's the antidote for the chargering.
Yeah, I think we were too quick.
Takes more than 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things
in San Francisco. He did it immediately in San Francisco.
Yeah, but those are the Niners.
Yeah, exactly. They don't. There's no such thing as ninering.
Right.
Wait, so you're telling me that there's something in the Chargers helmet, the Jets helmet, the Bears helmet? It's not the coaches and the personnel, it's the team?
No, it's like seance time. You got to go find some chicken, a snake with paint on its head, Joe Boo, anything. You got to figure this out.
To make a Bears quarterback throw for 4,000 yards, you need voodoo.
You need Pedro Serrano to fix things. Yes, 100%.
They could do a podcast on this. There's so many podcasts about a haunted house or something this or that. We could have a Chargers, how to get the chargering out of the Chargers pod.
We all know the easy answer. Have Kyrie Irving come in and do the smoke thing on the corner.
Kyrie Irving to save the franchise. You never hear that.
Yeah, they need to sign Kyrie Irving to get the bad stuff out of there.
So after all of that, guys, the Bills did win 31-7 yesterday. They reached the divisional round for the 5th January in a row. This victory over the Broncos setting up a Sunday night showdown with the Ravens. It took longer than it should have, but the Eagles did put away the Packers in yesterday's middle game, 22-10. This is just a 10-3 game late third quarter until
Hurts throws to his left for Goddard. Goddard takes and spins. Goddard shoulders his way inside the 15. Stiff arms to the 10. Inside the 5. Touchdown, Eagles. That was all Dallas
Dallas Goedert, 24 yards, and the Eagles are on top 16-3.
That's Tom McCarthy on Westwood One. Goddard stiff-arming a defender like Perloff, and I asked to ride to San Antonio with him. The Packers host the Vikings or Rams now Sunday afternoon. That is a Peacock exclusive. And then finally, a road team broke through last night with the Commanders taking a 23-20 W in Tampa. Zane Gonzalez putting a 37-yard field goal in off the right upright as time expired. More last-minute drama authored by Jaden Daniels.
We're not going to give up to the clock hit zero. Win, lose, or draw, whether that was week 1 to now week 19. We're going to keep fighting to the end.
I got one more Jaden nugget for you. And it does attach to what you were saying, Maggie, about some fourth down decisions that so this is not completely a compliment to him, but this is crazy. In NFL history, regular season or postseason, there have been 3 games of a team having no turnovers and no punts with a rookie starting QB. The Commanders have all 3 this year. Last night, week 2 and week 3 of the season.
That's how much they go for it on fourth down.
But also, no punting either in normal punting areas.
Right.
So I guess that connects to the fourth down tries in the red zone or whatever.
That's crazy.
And no turnovers last night, too.
No punting? That's not my type of game.
Manny was admiring all the punts in the early games.
Yeah, no, I just love a good punt.
That's all we got.
I have.
Even then, they're not good at that.
I have an interesting news update on a Maggie and Perloff show bet because we're mentioning that I have to drive to San Antonio, happening this spring. There's an interesting fact about another Maggie and Perloff show bet that I've been dying to share with you guys.
Does this somehow get me out of the Waffle House thing?
It does not get you out of it, but it is possibly related to that.
Man, I'm going to blow up like a balloon. It's going to be the worst 24 hours of my life.
But they do have some big old women.
And I'm going to be one of them.
You'll finally be in proportion with your feet.
Finally. I'll have a body that matches my gigantic feet.
Big old women.
Are you going to tell us or we have to wait?
We got to wait.
We got to wait. Bogusch, you have to stick around. I'm sorry. I know how annoying that is for you.
The Bears coaching search continues today with interim boss Thomas Brown getting a meeting. Yesterday, they interviewed Ron Rivera, and we're told Chicago would love a meeting with Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman. The Indiana Pacers put an end to the Cavs' 12-game win streak, 108-93 in Cleveland last night. The Celtics fought off the Pelicans, 120-119. Zion Williamson, 16 points and 7 rebounds in 28 minutes after his 1-game suspension for being late to a team flight. And yes, Jalen Brunson did score 44 points in the Knicks' 140-106 rout of the Bucks yesterday.
We're so back.
140 points.
$140 points. This team was unable to do anything on offense over the last 4 games, and they put $140 on Giannis. Oh, baby.
And punts.
Manny's so excited. 855-212-4227. Your football team's burning to the ground, but your basketball team is good.
Oh, thank God. At least I have something.
Okay, lots more to do. We get Perloff has an update on one of our show bets, and also one hire has been made in the NFL. Is it going to work? We'll get to that too. MNP.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. I promised a show bet related reveal. Now, maybe I could be wrong about this, and maybe there's something else going on here. But I see, as of 6:21 a.m. yesterday, there was a fantasy football punishment, the Waffle House Challenge, that was beginning to get paid off. 24 hours every waffle. This might be another copy of the original one. Yeah. 24 hours every waffle. Tyler Renew went to the Waffle House as of yesterday morning, and that was his last tweet. I don't even know if he's alive. This is in South Carolina.
Death by waffle. So basically you have to go, this is where we took this bet idea from. You go sit at a Waffle House for 24 hours. Every waffle you eat, 1 hour comes off the clock for you.
And all he put up was a picture of a Waffle House at 6 a.m. with all the lights on and no cars in the parking lot. And we have not heard from him since. So 24 hours every waffle. I think we should reach out to this guy. I assume this is the one and only Waffle House Challenge, unless it caught fire and other people are doing it.
Maybe. I mean, I'd love some tips, but if this guy's not, if he's drowning in syrup, then he's got nothing for me.
Oh my God, these waffles are gigantic too, Maggie. Look at that.
Yeah, but they're thin.
They're not that thin. Those are big waffles. Like I don't even know.
To get
I don't even know if I could eat one of those.
We're gonna see, aren't we?
Yeah, Tyler. He also put out the picture of the fantasy team that cost him, and oh man, did he make some terrible draft mistakes?
My mistake was thinking that the Cowboys may have the sense to move on from Dak Prescott. That was silly. It's funny. We have another show bet that we've made beyond the waffles. Yes.
Sorry, he finished at 5:21 p.m. So he was there from 6:21 to 5:21. It was 6 hours, 11 hours.
Oh my gosh, that's so long. That's so long.
Oh my God, he looks like he's gonna throw up at every bite. Maggie, you're dead. I don't even know if we can do this anymore. I'm watching this guy try to eat these.
No, I have to do it. I mean, a bet's a bet. I lost fair and square. I ate tuna jelly. I mean, I've done worse.
I should have done what I suggested and switched to a more protein-based food. I said I'll do. What did I say? I do omelets.
Yes.
It's that those waffles are going to expand in your stomach and make this really, really hard to do.
I know. It's a bet. It's not supposed to be easy. I lost it fair and square. Now, we have another bet that we've made since then. We will do the Waffle House bet post-Super Bowl. But the bet was about Tom Brady and the Raiders and Tom Brady's future in broadcasting. And I think that this is Tom Brady's last year as a broadcaster. He has gotten much better. He was actually very good on the call yesterday with your Eagles beating the Packers. I think he's one and done after the Super Bowl. And I felt a lot better about me winning this bet and not having to dress up like a member of the Black Hole because the report that came out over the weekend that Tom Brady is much more involved in the general manager and coaching interviews than originally thought. I'm sure you saw this report as well, Pro.
Well, but I didn't understand what I originally thought. We all thought all along that he was going to choose the coach and the quarterback. Isn't that the general thought, or is that not the thought?
Well, I mean, he doesn't have, besides minority owner, it's not like he has a spot in the front office. This is not Derek Jeter with the Marlins or John Elway with the Broncos. He has no role. He's not team president or something.
I'm sorry. The original report was he was going to help choose the quarterback. The coach is a bit of a reveal. But that being said, I don't know. I mean, the Raiders are still... I'm watching this coaching search go that nothing's going to change here. They're definitely going to be 5-12 next year, because they don't want Deion, so they're not getting Shador. Sorry, not to jump that report, but I just feel like they're going to hire somebody and it's going to be the same old Raiders. Is there any chance that they break out of that funk? Is Tom Brady going to do something magical here?
Well, so here's the sort of TikTok of the reports from the weekend. You got a report that Deion Sanders was interested in the Raiders coaching vacancy. Then you got a report that the Raiders were not interested in Deion Sanders being their head coach. Then you got the report that Tom Brady is way more involved in the interviews than we thought. And then we got the report that that's actually turning some GM candidates off, that Tom Brady's so hands-on. So I think I got every single beat of what happened with the Raiders over the weekend, unless I missed something.
Well, there was also a report in Las Vegas Journal Review that Ben Johnson's the preferred choice, but I don't think they have a quarterback. So Ben Johnson might want to go to, say, Chicago with Caleb Williams, then
or Jacksonville.
Yeah, exactly. And Pete Carroll might be the second choice, but Pete Carroll hasn't really been, ever since the Super Bowl, hasn't really done a lot. So I feel like that's
they made the playoffs with Geno Smith when nobody thought they would.
They were, yes, but I don't even think they had double-digit wins that season. I just feel like the Raiders are going to be irrelevant for another 10 years probably.
The Pete Carroll thing was not that surprising to me, because if Brady's calling Belichick to see if he was interested in the Raider job, I think it tips your hand. Maybe Brady thinks a more established season winner, proven winner, whatever, is a better avenue for what this team needs. So Pete Carroll didn't surprise me that much. Now, if he actually gets the job, I'll be mildly surprised.
Well, he's 73. I mean, that's the knock on Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
But one thing, he brings a lot of positive energy to that building, which hasn't had it in a long time. I mean, it's actually, I guess Antonio Pierce does too. But I feel like Pierce, Carroll, none of these guys are going to be able to overcome the organizational dysfunction. And I don't care if Tom Brady's there.
Well, if they just follow my two-step plan really one-step plan of trading for Brock Purdy, then they'll be back on track.
Well, then they'd be in a really awkward spot to have the number 1 overall pick and have Brock Purdy stuck on your payroll. Honestly, like, that's a team that should Tom Brady work his magic. They should tank. They should full-on tank. And then Tom gets the Mannings, his buddies. He's close with them. Get Arch into Vegas. That's better than Brock Purdy.
I feel like the Mannings and Tom Brady are more frenemies than
Oh, get out of here.
friends.
Close seems like a stretch.
Yeah. All right, coming up, who impressed you the most this weekend? There's one answer.
Those are big waffles.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Hurts in the gun with Barkley to his right. On second down, Hurts drops, steps up. He's looking, he's rolling, he's back, still looking, and he is firing for the end zone. Touchdown! Wide open, touchdown, and it goes to Jahan Dotson.
Merrill Reese on Eagles radio. Jahan Dotson off the milk carton and making an impact for the Eagles. They win 22-10. This game was still in the balance, though, deep into the second half. But the Packers, Perloff, I'm not trying to make an excuse for them. They did not play well. The first half might have been one of the worst halves of football I've ever seen them play. They just kept losing guys left and right on the offensive line, on the receiving core. And it's funny, I was texting a little bit with our old boss, Mike Eskin, who does afternoons in Philadelphia, and he's like, the Eagles are losing this game. I'm like, how? The Packers are down to one healthy receiver. Lucky for him and for all you Eagle fans, he was wrong. But I thought, I was surprised how long it took for the Eagles to put the Packers away last night.
Well,
I've never seen the true face of a coward.
The Packers are a second half team, right? So they always have these crazy comebacks. Now the Eagles went up basically 10-0, but it was all because they got a fumble on the kickoff. Their offense didn't do anything. Pretty much the entire game they didn't do anything. Saquon was just okay. Jalen Hurts was way off from the beginning. And Jordan Love was way off from the beginning. Jordan Love's first pass, that's the worst pass I've ever seen him throw in my life. So I think you had a tale of two injured quarterbacks trying to survive. That felt more like a game of survival than a convincing win to me. Like the Eagles, if you watch that game, I don't think anyone in the NFC is scared of the Eagles right now.
I did not think they looked all that crazy impressive. Now, will they be favored in the next round against either the Rams or the Vikings, whoever comes out of this game tonight? Yeah, they will.
Yeah, because it's in the link.
But I can't imagine that team that I watched yesterday, Perloff, and I'm sorry to sound like a hater on your team. I don't see how you could go to Detroit and beat the Lions. Not what I saw last night.
2 rounds from now seems impossible. The next round seems very possible because you'll have either Minnesota, who's an indoor team, coming to the link, or you'll have the Rams traveling to the East Coast, where their numbers are much worse. So the Eagles have a great chance in that game. Though great chance, I think it's going to be a tough game. You're right, the Lions, they don't have the firepower to stay with the Lions right now. Unless Jalen Hurts was,
they do have the firepower, but they're not getting the ball to those guys.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
Okay.
Unless Jalen Hurts, do you think there's a scenario where we're seeing a somewhat injured, coming off a concussion Jalen Hurts, and he has a completely different game, like think of the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs, where he was just throwing dots all over the field? That's what the Eagles are going to need. They're going to need the high-end Jalen Hurts, and you don't always get that. It doesn't
you think
seem
this was
super
just
likely.
Rust because of the concussion that he hasn't played in 2 weeks?
That's where yes, he definitely was not the same quarterback. He didn't have really any deep shots to A.J. Brown. He tried one on a fake tush push. But that's really, the Eagles have two real weapons on offense. Saquon Barkley running and deep shots to A.J. Brown, either get the PI or the catch. There was none of that yesterday. And I don't think Hurts could do it. I don't think he was really seeing the field right. Seemed very, very kind of groggy.
Yeah, this was not a great playoff debut for him. Now, ultimately, they do get the win. But yeah, he was 13 for 21, 131 yards. But, I was actually a lot more focused on the fact that Jordan Love just seemed really rattled. And I know his final stat in terms of yardage, 212 on 33 attempts, with the 3 picks. I thought that Jordan Love was going to be that kind of guy, Perloff, where we've seen this before with some other quarterbacks. It doesn't really matter how the regular season goes. Get that person into the playoffs, and then, wow, watch him,
Yeah, but he was not 100%. I really don't think he was.
It didn't even matter because he kept losing receiver after receiver.
Yeah.
And then you're asking Josh Jacobs to basically go out there and win you the game. And when the Eagles defense can sort of, I don't want to say tee off, he still had some impressive runs, but the Eagles defense wasn't fooled.
No, I did think. Did you think there was a point when Josh Jacobs carried all the defenders beastquake mode into the end zone?
Yeah.
I thought that, okay, the Packers are down 16-10. They have a chance here. Then the Eagles offense woke up and Dallas Goedert stiff-armed that guy into oblivion, and that was the game. Again, the Packers, like a lot of things started going wrong toward the end of the year. Injuries. They just did not take a step from last year. You felt we both picked them for the Super Bowl. We felt like after last year's playoffs, they were probably the better team against San Francisco. They were going to ascend. I'm not even quite sure. Like, why did it not happen this year for them? I don't have an easy answer.
I mean, I don't think their receiving core is nearly as good as it needs to be. That would probably be number one.
Watson was out. Dobbs was very seriously hurt yesterday.
Yep.
And then Reed, who was their only good player left, got hurt. So how do you tell? Because Watson wasn't there. How can you say that?
Well, I don't, clearly they didn't have enough depth. I don't even know if there's such thing. I don't think you can have enough depth. They just kept losing so many guys. And you lost your one dude off the offensive line, Jenkins, and it's like the whole line fell apart.
That was massive.
And that was right at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, and then you lost another guy late in the game. If they had somehow won that game, they would have really been limping into the next round. The Jenkins injury was, you cannot overstate that. You could see the immediate change in the Packers. And you said Jordan Love looked rattled. Maybe that's part of the reason why.
Okay, but here's the thing then. If we're going to criticize Justin Herbert for being a highly paid quarterback who, came up small, Jordan Love didn't have as bad of a game as Herbert. I think Herbert had the worst weekend probably of any person playing on Wild Card weekend. But, I mean, Jordan Love, that was not awesome. And I think he's going to get a pass because all of his receivers were hurt and all of that. And he was hurt.
One of the picks was like an arm punt. That one did. Yeah. The one he threw in the end zone, that didn't really matter. I think there was a pick where he didn't see Zach Bond. He just didn't see him. That happens sometimes where you're throwing like the linebacker sneaks underneath. So I'm not, again, it was a bad play, but sometimes that happens. I think he throws some beautiful passes. There's no doubt. He threw some balls, intermediate, 20-yard passes where there was maybe a 4-inch window to get into it. He does throw some beautiful balls. I mean, let's face it, like the Eagles defense was dialed up throughout the whole game. They were playing really well.
If you ask me who looked like the most dominant team coming out of Wild Card weekend, I think there's one answer and one answer only. It's the Ravens.
Yeah.
The Ravens, without a doubt, look like the best team. Now, listen, the Steelers no-showed on defense. And they kind of generally no-show on offense because they're just not that talented on offense. But so maybe they ran into the right opponent who didn't really seem like they had the will to stop them. But I think it's the Ravens look the best. The Texans was the most surprising because of how suffocating their defense was. But to me, the team that looked the best was obviously Baltimore.
Yeah, but Baltimore, do they have a passing game? Without Zay Flowers. I mean, they're taking your 1A receiver away. I just worry a little bit because obviously the other teams are going to be able to solve that run, the RPO that they're running. There's just someone's going to hit Lamar Jackson at some point. They're going to stop running that. Like, you can't run 25 times. The Chiefs are going to have a much different setup here. So, and the Bills will too. The Bills know running quarterbacks. They have one. I think it's going to be a much different game. You're going to have to force, at some point, Lamar is going to have to throw the ball like he did in last year's AFC title game. And if Zay Flowers is a difference maker. He's finally they got Lamar Jackson, a real receiver. Is he going to play? And is he going to be effective?
I still think Bateman, Likely, and Mark Andrews are competent enough to put together a pass game that you have to at least be keeping tabs on.
Oh, I don't think so. I think Likely and Andrews are tight ends, and you really trust Bateman?
Well, I trust Flowers maybe a little bit more, but the last time we saw him in the AFC Championship game, granted, he was a rookie, he was pretty disappointing. 855-212-4227. Sean's our pal in Oregon. Sean, who looked best? Who was the most impressive over Wild Card weekend?
Well, I'm going to go with the Texans because you don't have to be very good to look good against my Steelers. That's the most disgraceful Steelers team I ever seen in my entire life. But those Texans, now that was a different story. And when you talk about looking at these games and watching the games, the best part about that game was to look at D'Amico Ryans. When you saw the look on John Harbaugh's face, and then they look over at D'Amico Ryans, and that guy was just ecstatic, and I was just loving it. What a cool moment! I'm really glad for D'Amico Ryans and that whole Texans team. And I think that, I've been picking your Buffalo Bills the last couple of weeks, and I think that'd be a great American story, a great story to see the Bills finally get it done. But you best pack a lunch when you play those Texans.
We'll see if they would even get a shot. That means Houston have to pull off the upset against Kansas City. And listen, Sean, is this the Kansas City team of years past? No, it's not. It's not. But am I taking Kansas City at home?
Well, last year's Kansas City team wasn't that good either.
What's the spread on that game? I don't have it. Can we update you on a poll question at Maggie and Pearl on X? What should be the bigger priority for the Steelers, a quarterback or a head coach? 85% of you saying quarterback. It's funny. It's obvious, but I thought that the sort of, I don't know, so things wearing thin with Mike Tomlin, if that would weigh on people's minds. But I guess not.
We all have a Steelers fan in our lives. My Steelers fan. I mean, I'll just say it's my friend Monty, who's an author. It's just like, he's like, you have to help me get Tomlin out of there. He said, start the rally on your show tomorrow. Get him out. I mean, they're just tired of being a 10-win team. They can't win the playoffs. 5 straight one-and-dones. It feels like it's time, that doesn't mean Tomlin's not a Hall of Famer and a great coach, but Andy Reid wore out his welcome in Philadelphia, and he's arguably one of the top 5 coaches of all time. It happens. I mean, there's nothing, and I had no problem with Andy Reid leaving Philadelphia. I'm not one of those Eagles fans who's like, they should have kept him. Is that just, do you think that happens, Maggie, where a guy, his message just gets old and maybe it's time for a change?
Definitely. I think Phil Jackson said it. Didn't he say it? He said it was every 7 years, I thought, was what, I mean, maybe basketball season's just a little bit different and maybe you wear out a little quicker, but I think so. And listen, Mike Tomlin actually won a Super Bowl with his first team. Andy Reid did not. I think that Mike Tomlin will coach somewhere else.
That sucked.
Really? When?
I don't know about this cycle because
feels like he's going to stay with the Steelers now. It's a little too late to get into this cycle, but yeah, it's so funny. I can't see him on another sideline. You're probably right, but it doesn't make any sense. Like Chicago? Huh?
How about this little note? Mike Tomlin's got a no trade clause. That's power. I think the only player who's got a no trade clause is Kirk Cousins.
Is that right?
In the NFL?
I thought a lot of guys had no trade. That's not a thing?
I don't think it's a thing.
Oh, I thought it was, maybe it's at the NBA where it's...
Well, the NBA. And even the NBA, it's less of a thing. I think Bradley Beal's one of the only guys who actually has one anymore. I think the owners...
Well, Dak had a no trade clause, right?
Dak did have one. I don't know if his new contract has one.
Okay, I got 7 players with no trade clause is it. So you're right.
Got?
According to this, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. Hold on, slowly loading. Vamp for a second.
I see Patrick Mahomes here.
Okay, so we're talking about some of the most powerful quarterbacks in the league.
So only are there any non-quarterbacks, TJ? Do you see any?
No.
Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott,
Jackson,
Josh
Hurts,
Allen,
Mahomes, Goff, Cousins, Prescott, and Allen.
So we're talking about the highest paid players in the league, basically.
Yeah,
most of them.
The big time quarterbacks and Kirk Cousins
and Mike Tomlin. Apparently,
wait, I have a question on the no trade clause though. Like, doesn't the coach have to agree to want to coach another team though? Like, I feel like this is kind of weird, right?
Like what's the point?
Yeah,
you can't trade a coach against his will.
Yeah, you can't be like, sorry, man, like you got to coach the Raiders now.
He's like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
Too bad. Them's the rules.
Right.
Well, I mean, players they have to go wherever they're traded.
I guess, but I thought I don't know. I think there's a CBA though, right, between the players and in the league. Like, I think it's different with the coaches.
Yeah, the wording on the no trade clause was kind of funny in the story. It said, like, they say allegedly has a no trade clause. Like, no one's seen, you can't see coaches' contracts. They're not public, like the players' contracts, right?
Yeah,
is that the famous Belichick?
Right.
We never knew what he was getting paid.
We just heard rumors it was like $20 million a year or something.
Huh. That is funny. Maybe there is like sort of a quasi no trade con. But Tomlin's one of the few coaches who probably could have merited a draft pick through the years. Most coaches, like, you're not trading a pick to hire most of these guys, right?
Matt Eberflus?
yeah.
What will you give me for Eberflus? Like,
I don't understand who would trade a high pick for Mike Tomlin now coming off a disappointing playoff game?
Well, I mean, Sean Payton was coming off a disappointing end of the run in New Orleans, and the Denver Broncos still traded 2 picks for him.
But what's the difference?
That was a ownership group that was really desperate.
Payton's an offensive guy that's way more valuable in this league. I mean, that's why it's so mystifying to see all these defensive guys getting head coaches when pretty much wait till the Final Four, it's going to be all offensive coaches.
Let's go to Ramon as our pal in Indy. Ramon.
Well, hello, and happy Monday to everybody. And, boy, you guys stay on the razor's edge. Perloff, have a little confidence in the Eagles, man. It's determined. You just want to win and go on. That's what you do. Sometimes you win ugly. You know, it happens. Kobe didn't do anything that last game. It was Artest and Gasol that won, but yet Kobe got the glory. So
Ramon,
that's all we want to do.
Super
win
Bowl
and
or
go
bust
on.
this year for the Eagles. There's no, let's win a playoff game. We have to win the Super Bowl. Otherwise, it's a failure.
Ramon, do you know that Perloff wanted Jalen Hurts bench during this game?
I know, I can't understand that. In Baltimore, they can win 2 ways, Perloff. They can run or they can pass. Lamar, remember, he got 4,000 yards. He got 41 touchdowns and 4 picks. They can win both ways. Let's stop putting them down like they can't pass. They can win both ways.
Ramon, aren't you worried about them without Zay Flowers? Isn't that a big deal?
Nope, I'm not worried about them all. You know why? Because the will. They have a will now that I didn't see in them the last few years. They have that will. Kansas City has that will. You know, Houston had that will. I'm glad you guys got on Herbert. You know how I feel about Herbert. And yes, Jordan Love only going to get a pass, Maggie, because he won a playoff game in his career last year over Dallas and Dallas. So that's why he'll get a little pass. I didn't like it yesterday either, but that's the only reason why he has won a playoff game in Dallas. But I'm glad you guys blasted Herbert out there. Them 4 picks were horrible. But Baltimore, Buffalo, make no mistakes, that's going to be a war. That's a war. I can't wait. Thanks for taking my call.
Ramon, thanks. I can wait. I was wondering, can I get on the treadmill now? Can I do preemptive treadmilling?
Oh, gosh.
Much anxiety before this game because last time these 2 team plays, Derrick Henry ran for 200 yards.
Try to think about, just thumbnail, what's the Bills' strategy for this game? It's got to be just try to control the game offensively and do not let Derrick Henry and Lamar touch the ball. Isn't that the only prayer you have here?
Yeah, that. And you have to sell out to stop the run. And if Lamar beats you with the pass game, then they beat you at the pass game. But all those draft picks and signing Von Miller and all the stuff that the Bills have done to try to shore up the defensive line, everyone has to play their best game. Their best game. And that's it.
Well, I noticed something in the Steelers-Ravens game. When someone actually pushed Arthur Smith to the side and started calling pass plays, that Ravens secondary, not great. If they had done that all game, they could have – they started really moving the ball very, very well in the second half because, every one-on-one battle, the DBs lost.
I know. They had a 3-score lead. I think I don't know what the Ravens' plan was at that point. But
that's the story. The Ravens' back 7 is not terrifying to anybody. I think you could pass on them, but the Bills don't have any receivers.
I think it's funny that somehow you think somebody unhooked Arthur Smith's headset.
Well, you saw the first. It's 1st and 10, 1-yard run. It's 2nd and 9, 1-yard run. And then they finally got behind and started slinging the ball, and obviously it worked because the Ravens don't have a great pass defense. I think you could really do some things, but I don't know who the Bills' targets are. I don't know if Josh Allen gets in a shootout, who's he throwing to, Mag?
Well, that's what they say, that everyone eats. So it's going to be a little bit of Khalil Shakir. It's going to be a little bit of Amari Cooper, I guess, a little Mac Hollins, a little Curtis Samuel. It's going to be a little Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. It's everybody.
Can that work when you're trailing?
Not so far this year because they got blown out by the Ravens 35-10. Adrian's in Maryland. Adrian, who is the most impressive team that you saw this weekend?
Hey, Meg, I got to give you your flowers, man. I'm telling you, Denver went up 7-0, and Buffalo ran off 31 straight. That's like a basketball game where you run off, 20, 30 straight on a team. Probably even worse. So I'm going to give the Buffalo Bills the flowers there, and watch out for the Rams tonight. If the Rams win, I'm sorry, Perloff, I think they can beat your Eagles.
I love the Rams.
Yeah. I know the Eagles beat them pretty bad in LA, but on a grass surface, I don't think Saquon is the same person as being on turf or anything. Also, that game with the Chargers, what's up with Jim Harbaugh? It's 10-6 and he doesn't take a field goal. They were in that game, and you can't blame it all on Harbaugh. I mean, Justin, he threw that pick, but also the second pick is tight end. Come on, you got to catch that. That's just a bad drop and pick six that turned into a game breaking back of the game.
But Adrian, by the way, the Eagles are at home in the next round. What was your concern about Saquon?
About going to Detroit.
Oh, you're talking about 2 rounds from now. But he was saying the Rams are dangerous.
I'm talking next round. So,
yeah, but the game's in Philly, so Saquon should be fine.
It's in Philly, but I think the Rams can play. They played in L.A., and I just think Saquon, he's quicker. Obviously, everybody's quicker on turf or on the synthetic grass, but I think the Rams they'll be in that game, and that was a slow start yesterday. So they're actually making Jalen Hurts run the ball.
Adrian, great points all around.
By the way, I think the Rams has not really laid out great, but since Puka Nacua came back, they've been one of the best teams in the league. There's no doubt. They started out 1-4, and they lost their last game to Seattle with backups. Like, they're a really good team. They have a really good run game. Kyron Williams is outstanding, and they have an awesome receiving tandem, and they have Matthew Stafford. I think they're actually. They might not beat Minnesota. There's a great chance they don't win this game. I think they're maybe the most dangerous team to Detroit. Like, they have the formula for Detroit. I'm not sure the Eagles do, because the Rams can run and pass. The Eagles right now can't pass.
855-212-4227, reacting to everything that happened over the wild card weekend. We still have some college football playoff stuff to clean up. Ohio State and Texas. We have not been on the air since that debacle for Texas and that win for Ohio State. So we've got a lot to unpack. The M&P 500. Whose stock is up? Whose stock is down? Comes your way next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The M&P 500 on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Every week we do the M&P 500, stock up, stock down. All right, Maggie, why don't you get us started? Stock up.
There is no person whose stock is up more than a man by the name of Jim Murphy. I'd never heard of him until yesterday, but he is the author of a book called Inner Excellence, which is a book that A.J. Brown was reading during the Eagles-Packers game yesterday. I still don't know if this was a bit or if he was serious or why he was reading in the middle of a game. Was this supposed to be a joke? I have no idea, but Jim Murphy, I tried to log on to the website. At first, his book, it crashed, but the website looks like it's back up. It's the manual filled with tools and techniques to train your heart and mind. So, stock up Jim Murphy. I'm sure the book sales are soaring this morning.
Yeah, it was I think it was a joke by A.J. Brown because he obviously was only targeted a couple times. How many times was he targeted? 3 times? 4 times? I think he's secretly fuming about how the game went down, and he's trying to do this thing to say, oh, no. I'm just sort of making light of the fact that I wasn't used in this game. But I know A.J. Brown, and his happiness is directly tied to his number of targets. Like, that guy can't stand when he doesn't get the ball. So I think he was trying to be, like, sort of make a point, but not make a point. Does that make sense? I think he was, like, afterwards you saw him, they cut to, he was laughing with the one of the team employees. They were joking about it, and he threw the book down. Like, you think he was being serious, like to make a point? I'm bored.
I have no idea. Here's A.J. Brown trying to explain the book.
That's a book that I bring every single game. And, you know, my teammates call it a recipe. You know, that's the first time I heard that y'all got me on camera. But that's not the first game. You know, it got a lot of points in there. It's a lot of mental game, a lot of mental parts about it. And, you know, because for me, you know, this game is mental. You know, I physically believe I can do anything and everything, but, you know, I got to make sure I'm mentally good. So it's something like how I refresh every drive.
Okay, here's the part about this that I'm calling BS on. He brings this book to every game, and we haven't seen it yet. There are no fewer than 50 cameras during every NFL game. One of them's on A.J. Brown at all times. It's the Philadelphia market, which has a press corps 25 deep. And this is the first we've heard of Inner Excellence by Jim Murphy? No. I don't know. I don't know what this is, but stock up for Jim Murphy. Congrats to you on the book.
All right. I'm also going to go to a work of fiction. I guess my stock up here is not the way that Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry played, but the way that Lamar Jackson described his teammate Derrick Henry was thoroughly amusing to me.
It looked like a movie clip. Like, when, like, I'm going to give Cars. You watch the movie Cars? You're a little bit too old to watch Cars, but anyway, for kids, I was a kid when I watched Kids. I was a kid when I watched Cars, that's all I'm saying. But when Lightning McQueen just flashing past, and then it's like, that's how Derrick looked when he was running past, and all those guys it looked like a movie, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I'd rather be watching it than being on the opposite side of the ball. I know that.
So I went against my better instincts and watched AFC North Hard Knocks. There's no more positive human being on this planet Earth than Lamar Jackson. He is 90% cheerleader, 10% football player. The way he lifts his teammates and talks about them is so entertaining. He is just such a ray of sunshine. I just love watching him do interviews because it's like he just doesn't seem to feel any negative thoughts enter his mind ever. He loves Derrick Henry. He doesn't care if he takes all the carries. Like, he just, like, you saw it on the sideline. He's just so happy when his guys do something. And obviously he's miserable in a loss, but dude, that guy, I want him to be my teammate.
It's funny when he said to the person in the front row, well, you're too old for this.
And then it's like,
but then he had to clarify. He's like, I'm not watching Cars now as a 27-year-old man. He had to actually add that line. He's like, no, I watched it when I was a kid. So he's not like I'm like going home and watching Cars. But everybody knows Cars. If you have kids, you watch, Cars too. Like, I know Cars really well, and I'm old. So it's like not that big a deal.
My stock down.
You're a little bit too old to watch Cars, but anyway.
If the stock's going to go up, stock's going to go down. This is part of the MNP 500. Stock down, Sark's play calling at the end of the Texas-Ohio State game. You set up 1st and goal after back-to-back penalties. You get a Jarrett Gibson run for no gain. Quintravion Wisner, loss of 7 yards. So now you're 3rd and goal at the 8. That's when you get an incomplete pass to Ryan Wingo. And then 4th and goal, gotta have it. You're down by a score. Ewers on the sweep toss ends up being sack fumble, Jack Sawyer the other way. Just brutal. And what makes it worse and why Sark has to wear this is because everyone on the Ohio State defense said this was on tape. This was on tape. We knew they were going to do this. We had sniffed this out. It was not creative. And it was just a brutal ending for Texas. So stock down, Steve Sarkisian.
Yeah, we argued about this last night. I mean, honestly, I think Texas outcoached Ohio State because they should have gotten killed by Ohio State. I thought my stock down is Chip Kelly. Like, bro, what are you doing here? Like, you have Jeremiah Smith. He might be the first number 1 pick receiver in a long time. I mean, I don't know how many there are. He's the best player in the entire sport, and he has 1 catch for 3 yards. I don't care how much bracket coverage there is. The Ohio State messed with fire in that game. They should have blown them out, and they really... You're right. There were mistakes by Sark there at the end, but there's 65 plays in a game. I think you're picking out 1 bad run call.
Game.
Yeah, but it's 1 call. Like, overall, I think
they should have scored when you're 1st and goal from the 1.
Yes, but you should score more than 21 offensive points when you have Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Egbuka, Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, Carnell Tate, Curtis Innis, G. Scott. Like, you scored 21 points, and one of it was a purely lucky play at the end of the half with that Travion Henderson touchdown. Like, I think Texas was lucky to hang in there. I think Sark actually had his team. Like, they were playing for Sark. I don't know if Ohio State is playing for Ryan Day. I just don't see that. How did this game get close? I don't understand. I watched the game. Like, what on earth happened? Like, how was Texas in this game?
855-212-4227 if you have a stock up or a stock down from the weekend. One more quick stock up. It's totally away from football. The Sacramento Kings have won 7 games in a row. We're on in Northern California. We're on in Kings country and Blazers country too in Oregon. But know we have a lot of Kings fans in the audience. Just want to acknowledge under Doug Christie, they've won 7 games in a row. And it's not just all schedule wins. There's been playoff teams in that streak as well. So there you go.
Yeah, nothing like a king stock up will take the air out of a room.
I love that one.
Doug Christie.
Attention must be paid. Doug Christie and his ultra fidelity. That was always the thing about Doug Christie, right, when he was playing.
I saw some pictures from the early 2000s that were quite disturbing. I cannot unsee them now.
What, with his wife sitting in the front row?
No. Oh. No, there was some chains and some collars. There was a photo shoot. I was like, why am I seeing this now? My parents correctly hid this from me when I was 9 years old, and they were losing to the Lakers in the conference finals.
I have to do my own research on that one. Bogusch has headlines for us on this very extremely busy Monday. Again, you're welcome to weigh in with your stock up, stock down at 855-212-4227.
And the headline in Philly is that Jalen Hurts played and finished yesterday's game after missing the Eagles' last two with a concussion. We did not get the full Hurts effect, though. 2 passing touchdowns, but just 13 completions, 131 yards. The offense settling for 3 short field goals.
Ultimately, you just kind of want to impose your will and style of play. And I think we know we're capable of doing a number of different things, but we just have to find our rhythm and go out there, ultimately execute.
The Eagles did win, though, 22-10 over the Packers, who were sloppy and beat up. Jordan Love picked off 3 times. There were 8 penalties. Romeo Doubs on a long injury report with his 2nd concussion of the season. Not how Matt LaFleur wanted to end their campaign.
I hurt for our guys because, like I said, there's a lot of energy and work that goes into this thing, and it should hurt because there is so much time and effort that goes into it. But hopefully we can use this as fuel to have a great offseason and come back next year ready to rock.
The Eagles wait on tonight's Rams-Vikings winner. Their divisional game will be Sunday afternoon. The Bills will host the Ravens Sunday night after thumping the Broncos yesterday afternoon, 31-7. Denver scoreless for the final 57.5 minutes. Josh Allen, 2 touchdown passes, giving him 23 postseason TDs. Good for the solo lead now in franchise history. The only drama yesterday came at night in Tampa. The Bucs and Commanders took turns leading, then were tied with 4:41 left. Washington did not give the ball back. Zane Gonzalez doinking in a 37-yard field goal for a 23-20 win, the franchise's first playoff W since 2006. Dan Quinn, though, would have preferred a cleaner make from his kicker.
I felt like I was in a Bounty commercial, where the cup spills, and it hit, and as it went through, I kind of just paused and probably skipped a beat.
The Commanders now prep for Saturday night in Detroit.
I think he deserved that.
Wasn't bad.
Courtesy laugh is not terrible there.
The Chiefs and Texans play the first game this coming Saturday. With his season over, Chargers pass rusher Khalil Mack said yesterday he's not sure he will play again. The Patriots and Mike Vrabel officially reuniting. The former player will discuss becoming the team's new head coach at noon Eastern today. And Texas running back Jaden Blue, left tackle Kelvin Banks declaring for the draft. Now we've got some Sixers things to discuss. First, their game with the Magic.
Banchero to the elbow. Jumper is up. Cash. That's money. He said, I got you. This is what I do. P5 puts the Magic up 3. It's 102-99. 29 seconds to go.
Magic Radio feeling good.
Is that Gus Johnson?
I don't know who that is. Paolo Banchero scoring 7 points in the final 92 seconds for a 104-99 win over the visiting Sixers. And then we have the team no longer building a $1.3 billion downtown arena. Instead, they've agreed to stay in their current neighborhood. But I don't think, Pearl, we know any of the details of that yet.
Yeah, I was telling Maggie, Howard Eskin, who recently got fired in ignominy. What's that word?
Ignominy?
Ignominy.
Is it?
I can never say that word.
Me neither.
You're not roping me into this.
He got fired from WIP.
What about infamy?
Odyssey Station. And then I think he broke this story. Still has sources, long time. Philadelphia Report. I got to double check that. That's a huge mistake. I understand that the logistics of the downtown stadium were terrible. There's no way you could drive in or park or anything like that. But downtown stadiums are so cool. I don't care. I would totally want to see it. Like
the man who's railed against congestion pricing since the moment it got announced was like, let's put more things in the middle of the city.
Well, no, I mean, if it's not. It's totally congestion pricey in New York now. Like everything's going to leave Manhattan. Like Manhattan's going to become totally irrelevant. Keep Philly, like downtown Philly, revitalized. If they put a stadium there, you could have just a massive overall effect. I think kind of like the Barclays did in Brooklyn. Like I think downtown stadiums build so much business around them. I think it's always good.
But today you're behind it. The first time you can't drive to a Sixers game, you're going to hate it.
Well, I'm not going to go to it. I'm not going to. If I can't drive, I'm not going. But
so you're never going to a Sixers game again.
I live in New York. I live in New York. I don't like.
I'm a Knicks fan.
Yeah, I'll take this. I would actually consider. Well, I'll Uber in. Can you Uber in?
Probably. Well, it doesn't matter now.
It's not happening.
Yeah.
Don't you guys think the way Philadelphia is designed, there's 4 teams on the outside of the city. Like, don't you guys want inner city teams? Isn't that a much more fun?
I just love the effect that someone's like driving their car right now in Tucson, Arizona. It's like, let me think about how Philly is laid out.
Well, Phoenix is quite controversial,
Phoenix
right in the middle of town.
Downtown arena.
No, that's why I said if you're any town, like, don't you want your teams downtown? I think that's like a universal thing. Not just Philly.
I just want my team in the city. Like the fact I'm a Jets fan that has to go to New Jersey. In theory, I've never gone.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, like to me, I don't know if it mattered that the Jets were outside of like Manhattan or if they were in Queens. I think it wouldn't matter to me.
But the Philly stadiums are really in the city. Like that's not really the city.
No, it's in like I know the area fairly well. It's kind of like a
area.
I think like I love Camden.
It's like the 49ers. They built this beautiful stadium. We were there for the Super Bowl all those years ago, but it's 45. It's Santa Clara.
Yeah. See, I don't like that. That would bother me.
Right. Like they should be where the baseball stadium is in San Francisco. That's a beautiful, amazing thing. I don't like it. I don't like these sort of outside the cities.
I don't know. As a New Yorker, you have Yankee Stadium at one place. You have Citi Field that's so far away. You have Madison Square Garden that's far away. I don't know. There's something that's convenient, I figure, as a New Yorker, of having your ballpark, your football stadium, your basketball arena, hockey arena, all in the same area.
No, huge mistake.
And you have
huge mistake not put the Jets on the west side.
And you have the bar over there in between all of that as well. Xfinity.
Chicky and Pete. Oh, Xfinity.
Yeah.
But you didn't want the Jets stadium? I wanted it desperately.
It badly.
Oh my God!
Well, you can thank for that.
I know the guy who owns my basketball team.
Enough about New York politics, but
Timothy.
Maybe there's a good poll question. Do you want your stadium in the middle of the city or outside of the city?
I think it depends on the city, right? Because like when I went to San Diego, when I went to a Padres game,
it's
like,
amazing.
That works. That works.
Right.
Like I don't know, maybe there's not as much people, not as much car traffic or whatever.
Where does it not work, EJ? Show me one city where it doesn't work.
I guess that's. I guess that's true. Yeah. I can't think of one. I feel like Barclays has worked even if nobody cares.
Oh, it's amazing.
Indianapolis is great too.
Great. Minnesota, amazing.
What I don't know though is about the logistics of getting in places. Like Coors Field is also like in Denver, but I don't know what it's like to get to Coors Field like as a fan. That I don't know about. Like we know that the MetLife Stadium is awful. Like we don't go there because it's so bad to get in and out. I don't know if any city downtown arenas or ballparks are like that too.
I mean, crypto.com arena has worked, but downtown LA is weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird, like it's in quote unquote downtown LA, but it's like almost
it's been
like
built up a lot.
It's almost like in the outskirts of downtown LA though. It's like literally at the southern part, I would say.
Well, I mean, the Warriors moved into downtown San Francisco. I actually haven't been to that. It looks super cool.
It's an interesting question. I'll put a poll up.
I mean, one thing is like, the formula is just leave Oakland. That seems to be the thing that ever. I mean, Vegas is right. No, I'm just saying, like, it's, I think downtown arenas the way to go. I mean, this is a big L for the Sixers. Like, they're going to be kind of boring.
What else is new?
The star player literally said he was bored. Paul George said that.
They're borderline relevant. Like, and I don't mean that. Like, they're just never going. Like, the Eagles just dominate the city so much, and nobody's ever really going to care about the Sixers.
It's been good.
Can I give you another trivia question? This one about the Washington Commanders, who won their first playoff game since 2006. Do you remember?
Commanders.
Who was the quarterback of that playoff team for
What year,
Washington?
2006?
Well, it was the 2005 season, but the playoff game happened in 2006.
Who is their quarterback?
Who was their quarterback? Saturday, January 14th, 2006.
It feels like the middle of the Patrick Ramsey
I think
era.
I know the wrong answer. Like the guy who also went to the playoffs in that era but didn't win. But the answer is not Jason Campbell, right?
It is not.
Yeah, because he went to the playoffs, I think, but lost. There's a guy before him. No idea.
We'll take a quick break. I'll tell you, no Googling, everybody. Who was the quarterback the last time the Commanders, when they were not the Commanders then, won a playoff game?
All right, that's the number one team in the country who has to move to downtown. If the Commanders stay in the suburbs, they should sell the team. That's my only take on that one.
212-4227. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Bogusch weeps. He's got the road trip blues. Left behind, feeling like he's bound to lose. Perloff's off to San Antonio. Can't believe his eyes. But Bogusch stuck at home. His heartache amplifies. Betting against Wembyama, Perloff took the fall. But it's Bogusch left behind, feeling 10 feet tall. A loser in his own right, can't catch a break. Road trip dreams shattered, for goodness sake.
Bat in hand, swinging for the fences like a truthful Batman. No plans, no thoughts, just in their flare. Guess I learned from Peter Marai, no worries or care. Manny ain't writing shit down, just swinging away, chasing those home runs, living for the play. Where's Peter Marai, that fucking dude play? Not showing up for work, man, what's his fate? Swings and he misses and gives a loud shout. Who needs a game plan? I'm just here for the clout. With every swing, the crowd's laughing hard. Man, he's living wild, just playing his card. He swings and he misses and gives a loud shout. Who needs a game plan? I'm just here for the clout. With every swing, the crowd's laughing hard. Man, he's living wild, just playing his card. Man, he ain't writing shit down, just swinging away, chasing those home runs, living for the play. Scrolling the comments, who's dropping the knowledge? It's Dr. Daly, straight out of Tendon College. Maggie says that ankle looks rough. Perloff's like, nah, it's just a little scuff. But Daly's in the chat and he's got the facts. Forget your sprains, it's the patella that cracks. Dropping wisdom bombs, leaving no doubt. When that tendon goes, you're tapping out. Patella tendon snapping, it's way, way worse, says Dr. Daly with a YouTube nurse. Forget that sprained ankle or a little bruise. When the tendon pops, you got everything to lose. Perloff limps in with an ice pack in hand. Think it's just sore, I can still make a stand. But Daly replies with a clinical tone. Buddy, you're lucky you didn't need a new bone. Maggie's like, come on, it's just a little twist. Daly's already typing, you might need a list of surgeons, crutches, and months of rest. Because patella snap, they're the absolute best. Patella tendon snapping, it's way, way worse, says Dr. Daly.
One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Okay, gave you a whole commercial break to think about it. Trivia question. Who was the quarterback of the Washington Commanders the last time they won a playoff game, which was January of 2006? Who was the quarterback?
So is it like a veteran journeyman?
The Commanders.
Sure. Well, you guys think about that. I'm going to go with Dom in Washington, D.C. I have a feeling Dom may know the answer here. Good morning, Dom.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for letting me on the show and all that good stuff. I kind of got thrown a wrench with this because I just heard it because I was doing other things. May it by chance have been Brad Johnson?
It's not Brad Johnson, but you're in the right neighborhood. But what did you want to say about this year's version of the Commanders?
Oh, man, I have so much. I just wanted to start with I'm try to have you guys, because this is like my third time calling in, try to have you remember who I am. I'm Dominic from Washington. I'm the guy.
Yeah, I know who you are.
Yeah, I'm the guy that said that the Bengals wouldn't make the playoffs and that I didn't think Joe Burrow would ever win a Super Bowl. I'm that guy. You know, I had a little battle with Perloff. But I'm actually just calling for Perloff, not you, Maggie, because you've been kind of down the middle with. But Perloff has just been totally wrong with a lot of his picks, and I'm just calling to pick with him. I also, during that conversation, I said Jayden Daniels would be Rookie of the Year, and that Washington would make the playoffs, and, Perloff kind of laughed it off. And I really think, that Perloff's disdain for the Redskins, for Washington, I'm sorry, maybe he might be a little salty because we beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think he also knows that we have the best quarterback in the division. Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, and whoever the Giants get, we got the best quarterback in the division. And he gave us no chance against the Bucks, and he said because Jayden Daniels is a rookie and only a couple rookies, the same thing that everybody say, only a couple rookies have won on the road in the playoffs and all this stuff. So I'm here to tell you, you can't. You can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink.
Dom, I think you've made your points, man.
Don't see with their own eyes what's going on. I'm sorry, that's on you. But I think we have a great chance down in Detroit. We will use the same formula that we use against Tampa Bay. Keep the ball. Time of possession. Tough. Just enough defense, and we always have enough of Jayden Daniels. So I really love what's going on. I just called to mess with Perloff a little bit.
I love it. Give Perloff a little dose of his own medicine. Thank you, Dom. You did not think the Commanders were going to beat the Bucs, Pearl, although you have been very high on Jayden Daniels, so I'll give you that.
October 13th, 2023. Andrew Perloff tweets, I don't know what the rest of the nation is seeing. Jayden Daniels is clearly the number 2 quarterback in the country. Nobody had any idea at that point that he was going to be the number 2 pick, except for this genius. And obviously, Jayden Daniels was going to win Rookie of the Year. I called that. And so, Dom's 100% right. Of course, I'm salty. I hate that Washington franchise. I hate Joe Gibbs. I hate the Hogs. I hate everything about the Washington franchise. He actually used the word you're not supposed to say for the Washington franchise, but I hated that team more than I've ever hated anyone except the Dallas Cowboys. So yeah, he's absolutely right. Is this Eagles bias? 100%.
Well,
that means that I've
Daniels
packaged in these shorts right here.
Is Jayden Daniels the best quarterback in the division?
Oh, heck yeah.
He is, isn't he?
But what does that mean? Who cares? Well, I don't know. Did you get a healthy Dak next year? Maybe that's close. I mean, Jalen Hurts But it doesn't. Jalen Hurts can beat anybody on a given Sunday. Like, he can outplay any quarterback in the league. He's just sort of up and down. Jayden Daniels, yeah. I mean, honestly, if Jayden Daniels and Jalen Hurts were playing, I would give the Eagles would be a touchdown favorite. Like, Hurts with this team is very good. So I don't even know if that makes a difference.
One thing that may happen, Cliff Kingsbury is supposedly interviewing everywhere today. So if you lose your offensive coordinator, then you lose your continuity, and then does that happen to Jayden Daniels? Makes it a little harder. All right, enough filibustering. Everyone got to guess who was the quarterback the last time the Washington football team won a playoff game in January of 2006.
Can I ask another question? Was he a lefty?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Gus
Yes,
Frerotte.
he was. He was a lefty.
No, I'm wrong.
Oh, is it Mark Brunell or Washington
It was
Commanders?
Mark Brunell.
Yeah.
And how about this? He went 7 for 15 for 41 yards.
I had this weird image. I was going to say Mark Brunell, but I'm like, Mark Brunell never played in Washington, but he did.
He did. They beat the Tampa Bay Bucks. Bonus points if you can tell me who was the quarterback for the Bucks in that game, that loss.
Jeff Garcia? No, too early, right?
What year?
2006.
Brad Johnson was long gone at that point, right?
The answer is Chris Sims.
Wow.
It's a Joe Gibbs versus John Gruden special.
So not Joe Theismann.
Washington won 17-10 off a stellar day from Mark Brunell. Coming up, who had the worst weekend?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
They call us snap, they're the absolute best. Thomas Smith couldn't help it, he let it slip. Tolbert took a hit, felt his nuts rip. Sprained his fucking nuts, twisted him tight, but came back in the game, ready to fight. He sprained his fucking nuts, his balls got rents, but still made the play no one would expect. Caught that pass, it will win like a stud, with his jewels throbbing, lying in the mud. The cock threw it deep, Tolbert didn't miss. Even with his ball screaming, what the fuck is this? He powered through, nuts in a twist. Caught the game winner, you get the gist. He sprained his fucking nuts, his boys got wrecked, but came back out there, no hint of a hush. Balls on fire, burning like the sun. Still caught that pass, got the damn job done. Down in San Antonio, there's a man you should know. Kevin Lamelli puts on quite a show. 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, which are squats in a row. A workout machine, he's got that morning glow. Kevin Lamelli, the breakfast king, that takes that time near the syrup tea. things. Sometimes it's oatmeal, he's keeping it clean, but every single morning he's living the dream. He tunes into Maggie and Perloff on YouTube each day. Comments rolling in, got plenty to say, but there's one thing missing, it's becoming a trend. Where's Manny at? Didn't he just begin? Like his mentor Balani, he's coasting the crew, consistently MIA. What's a viewer to do? Kevin the man, the breakfast king, back exact time, hear the syrup sing. Sometimes it's oatmeal, he's keeping it clean, but every single morning he's living the dream. Tunes into Maggie and Perloff on YouTube each day. Comments rolling in, got plenty to say, but there's one thing missing. It's because Maggie's got her trivia cards, she's ready to play. Quizzing the whole crew.
Jackson will hand it off. Derrick Henry up the middle. He's in the 30, 20, leg race, gone! Touchdown, Derrick Henry! And they're going wild at M&T!
Ravens Radio Network, team that looked the best. It's got to be Baltimore. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. And after wild card weekend, pretty much a dud. Last night, you got a fun game between the Commanders and the Bucs. At least it was a close game. Teams going for it on fourth down. Some nice defensive plays, a couple mistakes that kind of added to some intrigue. And then ultimately, the Commanders doink a field goal in to win it at the buzzer. But I think the team, to me, that looked the best, considering the opponent they were playing and everything, I think the Ravens have to get the nod, right?
Well, why do you say that? The Bills, what was
Bills
more,
look great.
What was more impressive? The Bills had the biggest win.
Okay, but the Bills were up 10-7 at half, and their kicker for Denver doinked a field goal right before halftime. That would have been a tie game. Now, credit to Buffalo. They took it and ran with it in the second half, but I didn't think that Denver was a great opponent either. You know, the reason why I'm saying I think Baltimore looked good, and maybe this is why the Steelers should be so embarrassed this morning, is that's a division rival. It's someone who the head coach has had success against an elite quarterback in the past. Mm-hmm. And this Steelers team, at least in their mind, was built to try to beat a team like the Ravens, where they would be able to stop the run and run the ball and control the clock and time of possession and all that stuff. And the Steelers did none of it, and the Ravens did all of it. So, listen, the Bills played the Denver Broncos playing a rookie quarterback. The Ravens are playing, I know it's not the same Russell Wilson, but this is a Super Bowl winning quarterback who at times this season we saw have some success in the offense, and they were just completely bottled up. I thought it was impressive.
I mean, the Steelers have lost 5 in a row. It was the biggest spread of the weekend. I'm not sure what you were seeing in the Steelers. I mean, it was I think everybody would have picked the Ravens, but it was such a big point spread, and which, by the way, came very, very close to not covering too, because the Steelers. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess so, but the Bills were probably, you're right, it was almost 10, but even it was 10-7 and a half, but they had a 21-9 advantage. Like, you could see the Broncos defense getting tired. Like, there's no way that, I think I was looking at the live bet of that, it was like 15-1 that the Bills were going to win that game.
No, the Bills, if you just looked at the box score, they should have been ahead by 40.
Well, they were just playing so conservatively because they were so not scared of the Broncos offense. I think that they knew the Broncos were not scoring more than, say, 14 points. But I don't know. The Steelers were definitely reeling. The Broncos came in kind of hot. There was a stat, Bo Nix throwing like 8 touchdowns and no picks in his last 4 games.
But the Chiefs no-showed that last game of the season. That wasn't real.
But the Broncos have definitely been playing better than Steelers. At least the Broncos challenged the Chiefs. Steelers really weren't even in that game on Christmas. So I don't know. I felt like it doesn't matter because everybody saw that showdown coming of the Ravens-Bills. Like, it's a new slate. It really doesn't. Nothing that happened against Pittsburgh. Like, Baltimore is not going to see a similar team. Like, the Bills are going to give 100% effort. It's not going to be anything like Pittsburgh. And also, Buffalo has such better play calling than the Steelers. The Steelers have probably the worst play caller in the league.
Probably. So, who do you think looked the best? Were you the most impressed by Buffalo?
I was equally impressed by Buffalo and Ravens. I know that's a cop-out, but I thought they both But actually, and I wasn't even that impressed. They both knew the opposing offenses were so weak that they just controlled the ball on the ground. So honestly, I guess they both look good, but it really didn't. It actually didn't mean much to me. Like even the Ravens game, I'm like, that's not a formula to beat the Bills. They're not going to be able to play like this. They're going to have to vary their offense a little bit. Right. I mean, they're going to have.
They didn't have to do that the first time. The first time these two teams met, which is week 4, so it was a long time ago. But Derrick Henry ran for 200 yards. What was the variation there?
I don't see that game happening at all. I think I just see the Bills, like Josh Allen's going to run a lot. I just think that maybe I'm totally naive. I just think they're going to play a much different game. They're going to try and ball control it against the Ravens. It's going to be. I see a really close game. You don't see it that way? You see it like it's going to be like the first game?
No, I hope it's not like the first game because the Bills got the brakes beat off of them in the first game. They were not competitive in that game. So, no, they have to come up with something different. I think maybe getting the game at home probably helps you. You're going to have to sell out to stop the run. That's it. And then you have to hope that Lamar cannot beat you with his arm. And
you talk about it like the Bills aren't favored, too, which is funny.
Well, but barely. It was
but they're still favored.
A 1.5 point spread it opened up at, and I think it's a point. It's basically a pick-up.
Yeah. It's basically a pickup, but it's not like you say, like, I don't know. They're definitely not like the little sisters of the poor coming into this game.
No, but think about it. They're 1.5 point favorite at home. Yeah, so that's like barely. That actually doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot.
So they're kind of 2-point favor. They're 2-point dogs.
Yes.
But that does mean something. You can't talk about them like to pull this off. I'm getting some maybe they can pull this off energy.
No. It's not maybe they can pull this off. They should be in this game. They should absolutely be in this game. I just have watched Derrick Henry run all over the Bills before. So, yeah, I've got a little of the negative muscle memory from that. Even Derrick Henry as a Titan used to destroy the Bills.
EJ Manny, am I hearing, is this a Lou Holtz act by here? Did you guys, the way Maggie was talking about this matchup, it seems like she thinks the Bills will have to pull off an upset. And I think like that's the energy. And you could be right. You know this team very well, but I do not see it that way at all. I feel like this is going to be like last year's Chiefs-Bills game where it's going to come down to who has the ball last.
It might. I hope it does. I hope that the Bills are in it. But, you watched what happened. The MVP odds flipped. It looks like Lamar's going to win it now because he got the first team All-Pro and Josh Allen got second team All-Pro. And it looks like things are lining up here like, that the Ravens are on this all-time great season. You just have to hope that Lamar maybe gets a little dancy, happy feet, anxiety, all the stuff he was talking about before. And the Bills are going to have to try to beat him in the pass game, I think. So,
the Ravens on this all-time great season, they were 12-5.
But Lamar's probably going to win his third MVP.
Yeah, but I mean,
they had 9 players picked for the Pro Bowl.
They're definitely the third team in this conference. I mean,
definitely.
I mean, well, they're second. I mean,
they beat the Bills 35-10
it's
this
a
year.
Chiefs conference. Like you're talking about the Ravens, like they're some juggernaut. It is the Chiefs conference. Like both the Bills and the Ravens have a massive Mahomes problem coming their way.
Okay, but now you're changing the conversation. Of course they have a Mahomes problem. We're talking about the Bills versus the Ravens right now, though.
Last year was the magical year for the Ravens. They were totally dominant last year. This year it's been a totally different Ravens team. Yes, like they figured out their passing offense to a degree, but
their defense changed. I thought that was the biggest thing. Their defense has definitely changed.
I mean, they were definitely not like last. Like last year, they were just destroying everybody. I felt last year's team. Remember, they blew out the Lions. They blew out the Niners. Like they were a house on fire last year. They had every reason to come in and expect to beat Kansas City in Baltimore last year. This year, it's a different story. They're coming against a much better Bills team, and then they have to go to Kansas City. I feel like this is a much more challenging year, even with Henry, because I don't think coming into. Remember, we did our playoff mulligans. Or did we do that? I think a lot of people, I don't think like everyone was like, oh, this is a Ravens AFC to win or lose. I think this is a gauntlet they have to go through. I think it's going to be really hard to get through Buffalo the way Josh Allen's playing and through Kansas City. I don't see them as a team of destiny. Now, last year, I was sure they were going to the Super Bowl. Weren't you? Oh, my God. Last year, everything was working out great.
They had that really stifling defense last year. Felt like they were getting all these double-digit sack numbers from Kyle Van Noy and just from all different places.
And Lamar got healthy toward the end of in the playoffs. Like it felt like, and honestly, I look back at that Chiefs game. That I wonder if they have like a revenge factor. Are they being fueled by that? I mean, it's hard to tell. It's interesting. I would not count out your Bills.
I'm not counting them out. I never counted them out. They have to sell out to stop Derrick Henry. That's it. And Lamar is going to be no picnic. But to me, Henry is the key. if you can find a way to make sure that he doesn't lean on you, and the Bills are just going to have to score on every possession, which is not going to be easy. Because if you get down against them, then Henry takes over.
I don't have the numbers in front of me. Is it most of Derrick Henry production when they're leading in the second half? Isn't that when Henry kills you?
Well, what it looks like to me is they start the game off with Henry, and then they try to finish the game off with Henry. And then in the second quarter and third quarter, they try to give him some breaks. That's what it looks like in close games.
But I think I'd like to see the splits first quarter versus fourth quarter. I think his yards per carry, it's a Saquon Barkley formula too. Eventually, they lean on you, and it breaks in the fourth quarter. They can't do any of that if Buffalo's offense performs.
Yep.
If they get a lead,
that's
then
what I said.
Ravens,
They have to score basically on every possession. It's the same thing that they had to do to beat Detroit.
Yeah. Great. That's a great analogy.
Derrick Henry's first half numbers this year: 740 yards on 5.1 yards per carry. In the second half this year, he ran for 1,100 yards on 6.4 yards a carry.
Yeah, it's the
closer.
Big difference. Well, it's also just a function of the game. I think the defense gets worn out. You see Lamar and Derrick Henry. You saw it against the Steelers. That's exhausting. I think the Bills are exhausting too because they have let's not discount. And I know you don't. Josh Allen and James Cook is a great combo right now.
Fantastic.
Another interesting stat, by the way, here. 194 of Derrick Henry's carries came when they were ahead. Only 64 came from when they were behind. 67 came when they were tied. So the difference of when the game is tied to when the Ravens are ahead will definitely determine how much Derrick Henry touches the ball.
So it's simple, Maggie. Just jump out to a 21-7 lead.
There you go. Someone get that to Sean McDermott.
I'm sure he has his numbers. They're on NFL.com.
By the way,
it's not even next-gen stats. It's just regular gen.
Yeah, I have to pay. I have to use my NFL Plus for this one.
There was a point where actually I could hear Maggie slap her forehead at the end of the second quarter when the Bills got conservative and Sean McDermott was looking clueless on the sideline.
I'm sorry, gonna have to get more specific. 855-212-4227. We see that face sometimes in the playoffs. Our pal, Big Dave, is in Kentucky keeping a close eye on the Mike Tomlin situation. For what reason? Hey, Big Dave.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
We're great.
I'll tell you why. Because if there's even the remote possibility that all this Tomlin talk is true, there's some substance to it. The phone lines from Irving, Texas to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania are lit up because I could so see Jerry Jones. He's watching all this in the background. This would be, want to talk about great theater? I mean, this would be great theater. And there's just something about this. I just can't put this down. I just can't put it down. For some reason, it's almost like I could envision this happening. I really can. What do you guys think?
Dave, why in the world would Mike Tomlin want to work for Jerry Jones?
Because it's the aura. It's the brand, all that. Nobody would want to work for Jerry Jones. I don't know what kind of promises that Jerry Jones makes, behind closed doors. And it's the star, it's the Cowboys. I mean, they would throw an immense amount of money at him. I mean, I could really see this happen. A couple other things real quick. McLovin, your Eagles, my Super Bowl pick, along with my Super Bowl pick of the Eagles and the Bills, your Eagles kind of worried me there a little bit yesterday, is that just like is the fog got to wear off where your QB's been off for a while. I mean, what's going on there, man?
Yeah, there was a metric that quarterbacks coming off the concussion protocol are about 35% less effective in their first game out. They look bad. I'm not going to lie, Dave. But, Dave, by the way, I thought Jerry Jones wouldn't bring in a big-name coach because he doesn't want to share the spotlight. Doesn't Tomlin qualify as that? That's why I wonder why you keep coming back to this. I trust your instinct, but it doesn't make sense.
I just think eventually at some point it's got to change. I just do. And it's not that he's going to see the light. Jerry's not a see-the-light kind of guy. Yeah. But I just think at some point, you go down the same road for so long and you've got to take another road. And there's just something about this. I don't know what it is, but I could just see Mike Tomlin on the sidelines of the Dallas Cowboys. I could just see it.
But he never did Belichick. He wouldn't bring in Bill Belichick. He wouldn't bring in, never really. He probably had shots at Harbaugh and Peyton and never really took those. I just don't see him going for a Hall of Fame level coach.
Here's the one thing. Here's the one thing, Dave. I said, why would he want to work for Jerry Jones? There's a couple things about Jerry that are pretty appealing. First of all, he is extremely loyal, just like the Rooneys have been. Maybe not as loyal as the Rooneys, but pretty loyal. And we talked to Jory Epstein last week, who covers the Cowboys in the league for Yahoo. She said, what about Jerry? He sees everyone on their best day is how he thinks they are permanently. And if you look at Mike Tomlin on his best day, that's pretty good. That is a Hall of Fame level coach on his best day.
So is Bill Belichick, and he didn't hire him, and he likes Bill Belichick reportedly.
My question would be, what would Mike Tomlin do for the Dallas Cowboys offense? Like, how do you we see what they do in Pittsburgh. You got Dak Prescott.
Hang on a minute. Listen. Yeah, but hang on. You know what? That prompts a point for me. And I was thinking about this yesterday when I was watching the game and listening to the commentators talk. There is this terrible narrative. In a head coach, it's just like people assuming that because someone is a great coordinator, either offense or defense, that they're going to be a great head coach. That's not what great head coaches do. Mike Tomlin is a leader of men. Mm-hmm. A great head coach is the CEO of the franchise on the field. He has to be able to organize, operate, make sure everything functions, hold people accountable. That's what Mike Tomlin does. He's great at that. My last point, I'm jumping around, but I'm going to go to tie the show up. For all you Arkansas, Razorback, Pigville fans that invaded our Kentucky Wildcat blogs when Calipari left for your crappy organization in Pigland out there, suck it right now because you suck. Calipari sucks. You'll be lucky to win 6 games in conference. We've got our dude in Mark Pope. Go big effing blue.
Wow. Dave, the mic drop there, the warden.
Borderline. The warden barely stayed above getting dropped for profanity.
Manny was hovering over the dump button. That's not usually... We don't usually.
I get it. If there's a topic that was going to drive the warden to profanity, definitely be Calipari. I understand.
There is no love lost with Big Blue Country and John Calipari. What did you say, Manny? Someone just flipped their commitment?
Well, no. The Boogie Fland, our favorite college basketball player, he flipped his commitment last year from Kentucky to Arkansas when Coach Cal decided to call it quits in Lexington.
Mm.
Remember Boogie Fland, Perloff?
Yeah, very well.
Yeah, sure.
Question. Mike Tomlin of the Cowboys, that's not happening, right? I understand Dave's passion. It's a good point about coaches and organizer of men. It just doesn't feel like this is the perfect marriage because I think he's underestimated. I don't think Jerry will ever change. He says Jerry's going to change and hire a big name. I don't see that happening. I don't think Jerry's going to change.
Well, there's also a rumor about the Cowboys that they don't love to pay their head coaches like at the top of the market. But I don't know if that's true. Again, we don't really know. And you'd have to give up quite a bit of draft capital if you're going to trade for him. Now, we had a call. What were we talking about earlier about the Raiders? We had a caller earlier. It said the Raiders
trading for Tomlin.
For Tomlin. Now, that's AFC to AFC, which is a little bit different. I mean, we're talking about Steelers, Cowboys. That's the rivalry goes back to the 70s.
Yeah, I know. It's in my head,
but at least it's AFC, NFC.
But I feel like that's a thing, though. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't even think the Raiders, is Tomlin the right guy for that team? I don't know. The Raiders are so far away.
Well, that might be better. If you're talking about guy as
But Tomlin took over a fully developed
men.
team, though. We've never seen him build a team. I mean, pretty much. I mean, I don't want to speak for Twitter. Everyone's saying that Tomlin won with Bill Cowher's guys. Hasn't won since.
Yeah.
I don't think that's exactly the case, but I do think Tomlin inherited a team with a lot of veterans, and you just have not gotten that. They haven't replaced that Troy Polamalu level leadership. I would say the team shifted halfway through to become a Big Ben, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell project, and it wasn't not the same type of leadership, in my opinion.
I was going to go to break, but I can't because I got to go to Josh in Youngstown, Ohio. Josh, you're out of your mind for this one. What do you have for us?
Well, okay, first, I'm a long-time listener. I love your guys' show. I've been listening for a long time.
Thank you.
I'm a big-time Browns fan. With the number 2 pick, if they're going to take Shador, I could see next season if it doesn't go good, where they fire Stefanski and bring Deion Sanders in.
Josh,
what a better scenario.
You're a wild man for this one, but I get where you're coming from. I'm going to put it to you this way. I think the only way that the Browns have a chance at actually getting Shedeur to show up to the Browns facility and like be drafted by the Browns is somehow if Deion agrees to be the head coach. I think Deion will stand in front of that speeding train to stop Shedeur from going to the Browns, and I hope you don't take offense to that. You're watching that team close up. I don't think Deion wants his son going to the Browns.
No, I get it, but who else do they draft at number 2?
I think they end up trading out of the pick.
I've been hearing that too on Cleveland radio about them scenarios about them trading back.
And I don't love it for you guys. And it's a bummer of a situation. And Josh, thanks for the call. And I like the outside the box thinking. But, unless somehow Tennessee loves Shedeur, which could happen, by the way. If Tennessee loves Shedeur, then this whole thing takes care of itself, Perloff, because I do think that Shedeur would go to Nashville. And then Cam Ward is great. I don't think he has the it's not the clout. He's very good, but he doesn't have someone in his corner like Eli had Archie Manning or like Shedeur has Deion Sanders. It's very hard for somebody who doesn't have a famous a Hall of Fame level player in their life who's willing to make this messy. And unless I'm missing something, I don't think that Cam Ward has that person in their life.
Oh, yeah. And not only that, I mean, Cleveland's much more set up for offensive success than the third pick is the Giants. Yeah. So I think I guess the Giants have Malik Neighbors and Brian Dable, but Cleveland, someone's going to go in there and probably do well next year, right? Because Flacco and Jameis did well in there. The only one who's not done well is Deshaun. You got Stefanski. You got
Did Jameis do well? I mean, they were a terrible
he had some
team.
big
They're last place.
He had some big 300-yard games. I mean, I honestly, if I'm a quarterback, it's tailor-made. There's a big Aaron Rodgers to Cleveland rumor out there. Stefanski will get that moving.
Oh my gosh! This is how you think of the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
You're like, they're just not going to get it right with quarterback because they never get it right with quarterback. That's how I feel about the Cleveland Browns.
Well, Joe Flacco threw for 320 yards a game there. There's definitely some yards to be had.
Fine, there's yards to be had. And then they went to the playoffs and they got destroyed.
Yeah, but I mean, Joe Flacco won 4 of his last 5 games in the regular season. Stefanski can coach up an offense. I think that there are some pieces there. I mean, Deshaun was, and also Deshaun's not going to be there at all anymore. So now you have a blank slate. I don't think it's the worst spot. I know we disagree with this. I kind of like the talent level. I like some of the receivers. I like their offensive line big time. I think Cam Ward could do some things there. And I think also Rodgers, if that's an odd spot, obviously, but he could throw 35 touchdowns with Kevin Stefanski.
Can someone please answer this question for me? What happened with Deshaun Watson that did he re-tear the Achilles?
But that seems to be what the reports are saying.
Okay, how? This is what I can't find out. How did this happen? Was it a training session? Was it just by happenstance?
Yeah, there's this video out there.
Conspiracy? Oh, yeah.
No, what's the conspiracy? Tell me.
He's dancing in this IG post with his girlfriend, right? They're in front of the car. Is that what you mean, EJ?
Yeah, the idea that you're not supposed to be out of your boot, X amount of weeks after surgery, and there's a video of him shuffling with his girlfriend on the side of a highway like they're doing some kind of TikTok dance. And
we know this is recent?
Yeah, it's after his injury because he's not moving well. So we know it's after his injury.
I blame Aaron Rodgers. He tried to fool everybody that you can come back from an Achilles tear in 90 days. I'm just kidding.
I blame Tom Thibodeau.
Load management. He's grinding his guys to dust. Even guys who don't play the same sport that he coaches. Yeah.
Wait, EJ, you're a Cam Ward fan. Would you be just so upset if he went to Cleveland?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Cam Ward, because I think Cam Ward, we talk about Shedeur being a true kind of culture shot to a locker room. Again, I saw Cam Ward come in and just take over Miami in a positive way. The guy, he is a real leader. Now,
Cleveland Browns wouldn't know that if it smacked him in the face.
And I guess there was some Baker Mayfield where Baker Mayfield was supposed to be that guy, and they kind of remind me of each other a little bit.
They said Baker Mayfield was too immature to leave their locker room, and then they signed Deshaun Watson, who may have retorn his Achilles. You're telling me because he was filming a TikTok video.
Well, here's the thing: you're not going to win a Super Bowl there, but you might have a Pro Bowl season there as a quarterback. That's something. You're not going to win a Super Bowl anytime soon, but you could put up huge numbers in Cleveland.
855-212-4227. What's the tougher puzzle to solve? Cleveland's quarterback situation or Pittsburgh's quarterback situation? At least
Definitely.
Cleveland is the second overall pick.
Cleveland's in way better shape of quarterback.
I don't think Shedeur would go there. 855-212-4227. I don't think Deion would let him. Okay, lots more to do, including, oh gosh, I saw this headline. I'm praying that this coach doesn't make this mistake. Just because you get a call doesn't mean you have to take it. Tell you what we mean next. MNP.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Beloved keeper of time. And Jay says he doesn't care not a single ounce about that guy Trey Young and his floater bounce. Let him beat the Knicks, who even keeps score, but he's yelling about that logo shot from 24.
Manny's desk is a circus, it's a sight to see. Got a coffee tower teetering dangerously. Strange brews from who knows where, with labels all in code. One smells like gasoline, another like a toad. And in the corner, what's that shimmer? Oh, it's Manny's trusty nose hair trimmer. Polished chrome, it's his pride and joy, clearing paths like a landscaping toy. Oh, Manny's desk, it's a wild display, a mix of chaos and a fine cafe. From coffee cases to gadgets galore, you never know what's walking through that door. There's a stress ball shaped like a screaming face next to a mini globe of outer space. An old banana, it's turned to stone.
Oh, yo. L-O. Man, he's got a wiffle bat swinging with flair. Behind the glass, he's waving it in the air. Now that's bright yellow, could do some harm. If he's not careful, it'll raise the alarm. EJ sitting close, looking a bit tense. He knows one wrong move could be at his expense. Man, he swings wild like he's aiming to score. EJ's ducking low, getting ready to hit the floor. Oh, man, he put that bat away.
He's a Raiders fan, silver and black. Watches Maggie and Perloff, never off track. He's cheering for Vegas all season long, but there's a twist in this song that's gone wrong. Oh, Peter Bloody, where did you go? You're like a ghost in the studio. Artie's here cheering, all Raiders pride, but Peter's missing again. He's the night.
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. We had a great group text thread this weekend. It's amazing. Andrew Bogusch's New York Giants didn't play, and it was like shot after shot against the whole entire franchise. I thoroughly enjoyed that. The Eagles won. Strahan goes after his former team. Aaron Andrews goes after them. That was beautiful, dude.
Yeah, don't forget that the Giants, there is a universe where the Giants were able to draft Jaden Daniels last 2 years ago, or last year. They were definitely able to draft Bo Nix, and he opens up a playoff game with a beautiful touchdown pass, and I'm just thinking, thank you for reminding me all the things that could have been.
At least you have your coach and your GM back.
Right, all the guys that made these wrong decisions are back. Let's try it again.
Wait, can we hear the Michael Strahan, Manny? It's cut 19. So this is Strahan talking about Xavier McKinney, but then throws shade at the Giants.
Xavier McKinney, co-leader in takeaways in the NFL. Thank you, John. Number 2 in interceptions in the NFL. Thank you, New York Giants, because you let him go, you let Barkley go. Well done.
Yeah.
What did Aaron say?
So she relayed a story from one of
Jordan Mailata.
Yeah, Jordan Mailata, that said, I guess Saquon wasn't used to running through holes.
But I know Aaron was the messenger of the other, but she did seem to have a little bit of glee in her voice.
She sold it.
Yeah. She's like, Saquon is so happy. And the whole thing was a celebration of Saquon not being a Giant. It wasn't even that he was an Eagle. It was like, thank God he got out away from that team.
Yeah, that's how I heard it too.
This whole season has been that way.
I think Hard Knocks set this all up. Like, it would have been bad without Hard Knocks, but after Hard Knocks, everyone's all in on Saquon leaving the Giants.
I hate this sport.
Yeah, me too, man. Even with the punts, you can have your punts. There's nothing good about it.
Then there was actually one controversial text that we've kind of avoided. Andrew Bogusch rightfully pointing out that wasn't a touchdown in the back of the end zone when the Bills caught that Hail Mary.
How was it not a touchdown? Was it not reviewed? Are all scoring plays not reviewed?
I think they just got too bored. They're like, this game sucks. Let's just end this.
It was a tight game until that. That kind of broke it open.
My objection would be this. If Ty Johnson drops that ball as he rolls to his right, they're going to tell you that he didn't complete the catch, which means he hadn't completed the catch when his left foot slaps the white out of bounds. So he's out of bounds. So he's out of bounds. So he's out of bounds.
That's not the way I saw it. I think it was hovering over the white, and somehow he turned his body to go parallel with the end line. It was a feat of beauty. And listen, are you going to tell me what? There's not enough camera angles. We can't slow this down to get every pixel and blade of grass.
Well, again, you're miss. We don't want to hear to review everything and take things away. I know. So you get that one.
How about that pick that the Chargers guy had on C.J. Stroud, where somehow he was a defensive back?
It was Derwin James, wasn't it?
Was it James? I thought
the one in the end zone that they overturned.
No. It was on the sideline, I believe.
That was rough.
Where the guy,
I thought of you for that one too. This is a play that Maggie would defend. That should have stayed an interception.
Replay review should only be for egregious things.
I mean, even Nine Eagles, when we come back, no matter what, it's Chargers ball, and it wasn't.
Right.
Oh, was that? That was right. The first,
It wasn't that. There was another pick.
Leonard pick, right?
What's that?
The Dean Leonard pick.
Yes, he covered he was a DB, and he put it like a ballerina, got up on his tippy toes and reached out and somehow hovered both the heels over the line. It was crazy athletic. Really, really good play. There were some amazing interceptions this weekend.
There were some bad quarterback play.
It was an awful. I mean, I thought the Eagles had a beautiful one. Derek Stingley had a beautiful one. There's some good DBs right now.
My favorite thing from this weekend was my timeline being like, you know what? Maybe Dak Prescott isn't so bad. With all these terrible quarterbacks that we all thought were good, right? Like Justin Herbert and Jordan Love and, guys we think highly of. And we always killed Dak Prescott for these playoff performances. It's like, you know what? Maybe we should leave Dak Prescott alone for at least 1 year.
My takeaway was that every team's just like, I'm going to run my quarterback like crazy because you're not allowed. If you hit him anywhere on the field, there's going to be a flag. So, I mean, Lamar ran 15 times, Allen ran 8 times, Hurts ran 14 times. Run the quarterback. now can you not draft? You have to draft a running quarterback, right? The way Jaden Daniels, like that is like the league now because of the way that I talked to Boomer Esiason about this today. He's like, man, I would have run if the people are so scared to hit the quarterback.
And Boomer was really athletic too. He could have been a runner. My takeaway from this week was, please, we do not need another game on the schedule. We don't need another wild card team. We're good. We'll see what happens tonight. We got Vikings, Rams. Maybe this is a great game, but we got basically one and a half good games this weekend. At least that Eagles-Packers game, I guess, was a little bit closer than we thought, but the Packers kept losing players.
That was pretty close. I mean, the NFC is a little deeper. The bottom of the AFC is not great.
As we're finding out.
But
and the Chargers
more football. So the wild card round isn't great. It was a very disappointing weekend. I still don't mind more football. I don't like that the guys are, their
brains are going to be
that's
soup.
Not ideal, but yeah, I'll take more football. Never say less football. It's always more football.
But maybe we can just pause. Like, who's asking for a 19th week?
Not me.
Owners.
Wow.
By the way, at what point can I start saying that Patrick Mahomes is beating farmers and plumbers in the AFC?
What are you, JJ Redick?
I mean, look at this. I mean, this is like, look at these teams. He only has 2 teams to compete against. He kills them all the time.
Thank you, EJ.
Wait, who are those 2 teams? The
Bills and Ravens. Yeah, I guess he lost to the Bengals one time.
He doesn't kill them.
Maggie, do you think Pat Mahomes kills the Bills?
I don't want to talk about it. Bogusch.
Kill is a strong word.
Kill's a little strong.
Yeah. Breaks hearts.
Yeah.
He's
ruins.
Bad for sure.
Yeah. How about Doinks? They're usually not good for the kicking team, but a welcome carom off the right goalpost for the Commanders last night in Tampa Bay.
Snap good, hold down, kick on its way. It is good! The Cardiac Commanders are the Clutch Commanders! They do it again! We'll see you in Detroit!
That's Bram Weinstein on Commanders Radio. The thumping I think you can hear, I certainly hear it, is London Fletcher fist pumping, thumping his feet in the booth next to Bram as Zane Gonzalez banks in this 37-yarder with time expiring for a wild 23-20 decision over the Buccaneers. Washington kept the ball for the final 4:41 after the Bucs could only muster the tying field goal instead of a go-ahead touchdown. As we've been saying all morning, Jaden Daniels joins Mark Sanchez, Joe Flacco, Russell Wilson as the only rookie QBs to win a road playoff game. Dan Quinn loves his cool and calm QB.
If he had his heart rate monitor on in mind, they would not be the same in the game. And his stays pretty consistently good. And sometimes I'm like the duck. If you just saw the feet going under the water, it's good. But he really is into that space exceptional.
He almost looks uninterested at times.
Jaden?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
remarkable.
There's like an inevitability that he's going to score on these final drives. Like he goes 4 for 4 for 40-something yards on the final drive. That's crazy. Although, here's the thing. C.J. Stroud had a phenomenal rookie year, and it hasn't been as good. The follow-up, now they're coming off a win.
Yeah.
See what happens. They beat the Chiefs. Then we're going to be talking about C.J. Stroud as like one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league. But
that's a good point. But, it's funny. I feel like Jaden Daniels, if he throws to Terry McLaurin, will always be all right. Because that guy has
so
Velcro.
Good.
So
the
it
other
feels
part?
sustainable.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jump in.
Yeah.
What a great service you do to your quarterback when you give him a 50-50 ball, like a wide receiver who is a bad ball catcher and a 50-50 ball catcher for earlier in your career.
Yep.
It helped Josh Allen tremendously to have Stephon Diggs. Terry McLaurin is amazing for this 50-50 balls.
And De'Ami Brown was great last night too. But I think Daniels is pretty great. I mean, the only worry is you saw when he got hit on the sideline, he went up in the air like I was throwing my daughter around a trampoline. It was crazy. So by the way, you add Austin Eckler into this mix.
Yeah.
And I've been down on the Washington's chances to do anything against Detroit. They are, he's a game changer too. This is an interesting team.
Dan Quinn, very memorable win against the Detroit Lions. Remember when Dan Campbell got all frustrated in Dallas when Dan Quinn was the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys and Quinn was getting frustrated and kept going for it? You guys remember this?
No.
It wasn't a playoff game. It was a regular season game.
You mean last year?
Yeah. Yeah. The Dan Campbell game. Maybe
Yeah.
Dan Quinn's got something up his sleeve for Dan Campbell.
Well, that game, that Detroit handed that game to them. There was nothing Dan Quinn did. Like, Detroit, he was so
No, remember Mike
intent on
McCarthy
losing
almost
that
blew
game.
that game.
No, Dallas almost handed that game to Detroit.
Yeah.
Wasn't that where Detroit went for, got backed up on a penalty and
Yep.
went for it on 4th and 7 anyway? You know, the thing about Washington's their defense. Like, their defense is not great. The Eagles have not had any problem moving the ball against them. That's where Detroit is going to win the game. Bobby Wagner is awesome, but you guys saw he got trucked by Baker Mayfield yesterday. That defense can be had. So it really shouldn't. The Lions should not get into a last-second moment with Jaden Daniels. It's not where you want to be right now.
That game is Saturday night in Detroit. The Eagles dropped the Packers yesterday 22-10 to set up a Sunday afternoon visit from the Rams or Vikings. They play their wild card game tonight in Arizona, as we all know. And the Bills' 31-7 demolition of the Broncos means we're getting Buffalo-Baltimore late Sunday. Josh Allen preparing right after the final whistle yesterday.
We're going to need to get our rest this week, and we had a really, really good Baltimore Ravens team coming here. They put the thumping on us earlier in the year, and we know that, we understand that. So, again, it's the most important game because it's the next one.
In case you forgot, the Bills lost in Baltimore 35-10 in late September. The
Ravens, by the way, favored now in that game.
Wow.
Flipped already.
By how much?
A point.
On the coaching front, reports out of Pittsburgh say the Steelers have no plans to move on from Mike Tomlin after another early playoff ouster. We were told yesterday the Bears would love to chat with Notre Dame's Marcus Freeman about their vacancy. Today they'll meet with interim coach Thomas Brown, and the Raiders would like a chat with Broncos D coordinator Vance Joseph. The Lakers and Clippers will play home games tonight, their first since the LA wildfires broke out. The Lakers had 2 games postponed. The Clippers won. Notre Dame left tackle Anthony Knapp will miss next Monday's national title game because he suffered a high ankle sprain in their semi last week. But right tackle Rocco Spindler will try to practice and then play through his own ankle problem. And Novak Djokovic, Carlos Alcaraz, and Coco Gauff among the winners on day 2 of the Australian Open. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Bogusch. Coming up, yes, a team is calling about a coach. Doesn't mean the coach has to answer the call. You don't have to pick it up. We don't have to entertain this. It'd be a bad decision and a bad move. We'll talk about it next. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Advice for Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman, who's going to be coaching in the national title game against Ohio State. When the Bears call, just let that one go to voicemail. Screen that call.
You don't think that that's attractive in some ways?
No.
Because
the NFL's attractive, and I guess you have Caleb Williams, but I don't believe that if I'm with the Bears, I don't think I'm getting a fair shake. I don't know who's making the decisions.
But you got
I don't know
Caleb
what
Williams.
their motivations are.
Yeah.
Right, and if I don't make the Super Bowl with them in year 2, I'm probably going to be on the hot seat already. I don't trust anything that's going on with the Bears. That's a really, really hard situation to walk into, where you got Jaden Daniels now, same draft class, just went to the playoffs and won a playoff game on the road. Bo Nix at least had one good opening drive in the playoffs. It looks like the draft class looks really good, and if you don't make Caleb Williams the best out of the class, it's going to look like you failed. You're in a tough division. It's more about what you have at Notre Dame, to me.
But okay, let's say Notre Dame, they're pretty big underdogs in this game. Let's say they lose. It's an 8.5 point spread. Let's say they get blown out. Theoretically, they have a lot of injuries.
Yeah, then watch the offer go away.
Well, I'm just saying, this might be the best. I'm not sure it's a guarantee that Notre Dame will be back here. I think of all the jobs, he's a Midwestern guy, right? He's an Ohio guy. I think the Bears might be somewhat attractive to him. I do think, I agree with you, stay at Notre Dame, but I don't think the Bears is some nuclear wasteland. It's not like taking over the Browns, whose cap space is going to Deshaun Watson. I think this Bears job was probably intriguing to him. He's he's a Notre Dame, Ohio State, Chicago Bears, Midwestern, tough guy. He kind of feels like a Bears coach.
I don't know what a Bears coach feels like, because they've ping pong through every single type of guy you can have. And I don't know if they're thinking Mike Ditka. I don't know who they think's walking through that door, but it's not happening. And here's the thing about Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame. this 12-team college football playoff is like chef's kiss perfect for you.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to play a conference title game, but that didn't prove to be any problems. You could be hosting a home game every single year if they keep this same format, and you're going to get in even if you have a loss because you're Notre Dame. So
yeah, I know what you're saying, but won't that wear thin at a certain point? But then again, they could win. They could easily win this game, so maybe it works. But I think the Bear. I was looking. He was drafted by the Bears. It just feels like of all the teams that Marcus Freeman would want to coach, this would be up there.
they passed on Jim Harbaugh. Like, they don't know what they're doing there.
Who, the Bears?
Yeah. I don't trust it. If I was Marcus Freeman, I'm 39 years old. I haven't been burnt out by the coaching, the unrelenting coaching calendar in college yet. I'm sticking around for Notre Dame.
Yeah, but
it's not like Riley Leonard is your once-in-a-generation quarterback and you've got to figure out life after Riley. Like, you're just going to get the next guy. It's the transfer portal era.
Nothing's guaranteed. I mean, Brian Kelly, he made in 2012, he made the title game. Like, he didn't even sniff it again in Notre Dame.
Totally different world now.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. He could probably get into the 12-team playoff lot. I don't even know if that's going to be as impressive down the road. I just don't think, I disagree with the fact that I do think there's some attractive elements of the Bears for Marcus Freeman. I'm going with a young, attractive guy.
Let's answer a poll question that we had for you, which is, what should be the bigger priority for the Steelers? New quarterback, new head coach. 84% of you say quarterback. Mike Tomlin still with plenty of support, at least on social media.
Well, no. See, I totally disagree with you. Yes, of course, you don't have a quarterback. So technically your priority is getting a quarterback. But if you put up the poll question is, if you're a Steelers fan, do you want to keep Mike Tomlin? Do you think that's 85-15?
Well, why don't we put that poll up? Meanwhile, we mentioned that the biggest, most crazy moment of the weekend, mixed with lots of crazy moments. Justin Herbert throws 4 picks. Derrick Henry and the Ravens run for 300 yards. What else crazy happened? Jordan Love threw 3 picks. Lots of crazy stuff. The most shocking was Kirk Herbstreit, who has not had an opinion about the NFL since he started the gig on Amazon. Great college announcer, phenomenal college announcer. Does not go hard on the NFL with any opinion, saying this about the Steelers defense.
The thing that would concern me just watching this first half, you're in the postseason. You're getting dominated. I don't see any fight. I don't see any pushback. It's one thing to lose XOs against a really talented offense, but where the hell is the fight? This is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah. There's nothing. They're just going through the motion. Yeah.
Man, that's the day Kirk Herbstreit became an NFL analyst. Like, he'll say this about college. He doesn't say this stuff about the NFL. And the fact that he called that out from the booth means the Steelers situation is even worse than anyone thought.
Yeah, totally. I think also, to me, it was coaching. Like, you're down 21-0, and it's third quarter, and you call 2 run plays for 1 yard apiece. Like, what are you doing? Like, fire that offensive coordinator immediately. Fire Tomlin. It's done. It's done. You could tell that team was not playing for him on Saturday night. Bro, what are you doing here? Yeah, I honestly, like, it's all over. They really, really need to rebuild. I mean, it's overdue. And it's nothing against Tomlin. Tomlin would be a great coach somewhere else. It's never happening again in Pittsburgh.
The fact that the defense did not look like they were playing hard or making business decisions or just were, resigned to the fact that Derrick Henry was going to run all over them and Lamar.
Yeah. Well, after Henry stiff-armed Minkah Fitzpatrick, you could see the life just go. Fitzpatrick's like, get me out of here. I don't want to be here.
Derrick Henry has that effect on people.
Yeah, I get it. It's a good excuse, but it was Lamar's running. I'm like, he's right in front of you. Take a shot. If you're going to get a flag, at a certain point, you just cannot let your division rival run at will. Like,
and then it's like,
yeah, they're 4 in a row, right? Like, what?
And I was like, and he was like, and I was like,
these were not
5
scrambles.
in a row, 5 losses.
No. I mean, Lamar Jackson runs. Like, these were not scrambles. These were quarterback runs, and you just did nothing about it. You didn't until second half. You started to lay some licks on them, but you're the Steelers. What happened?
More poll questions to update. Did Justin Herbert have the worst weekend in the wild card round? 85% say yes. Yes, he did.
Who has it worse than them?
Nobody. Final poll question. Do you prefer your home team stadium to be within the downtown area or on the outskirts? Downtown stadium winning 60-40. Except
That's
if you have to go.
Philadelphia decided to stay on the outskirts.
Except you have to drive there and park a car. Then forget it.
Or you can take the Broad Street line.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to take a little subway action.
That's fine. Or I'd rather do that than have to pay $60 to park my car.
Yeah.
Or even more.
Yeah, it's not, and also too, it's not easy getting out of a parking lot at a game. There's that.
That can be annoying.
I mean,
Also, there's inevitably someone's car that gets set on fire because somebody pours the coals out of their barbecue and it's not totally out, and then someone's car gets set on fire. That happens once a home game.
Definitely for the Bills.
Well, they're setting them on fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey. Oy. Anyway, we got a fun week to prepare for the divisional round and the college football national championship. Thank you, EJ. Thank you, Manny. Thank you, Bogusch. Thank you, Kaplan, the Weedos, and the Coffee Drinkers.
You're in a 5-minute break.